Hello Dinga will today meet with the youth from the Mount Kenya region in his efforts to popularize himself in the region. While he is scheduled to meet the Mount Kenya Youth Consultative Forum in a session to be held at the University of Nairobi Amphitheatre. This will be his recent meeting with Mount Kenya youth after meeting with youth groups in Nanyuki before embarking on a tour of the Mount Kenya region. Recently, Raila has spent most of his time in Mount Kenya by visiting Nyandarua, Nakuru and Laikipia counties. Now 4.2 million Kenyans have so far been vaccinated against COVID-19, with the government left with 2 months to achieve the 10 million end-of-year target. Meanwhile, 96 people tested positive for COVID-19, bringing our positivity rate to 2.6%. The ministry further states that 293 people have recovered, 9 have succumbed and 724 have been admitted in various health facilities. Internationally, and an Afghan interpreter who helped rescue then-Senator Joe Biden from the harsh Afghanistan countryside has managed to evacuate the region with his family. In 2008, a blizzard forced the military helicopter carrying Mr. Biden and other U.S. lawmakers to land in a snowy valley where they were vulnerable to ambush. Ahmad Halili was among the Afghan employees of the U.S. government that drove the group to safety. Since August, he had been appealing for help overcoming visa issues to leave. To sports, and Kenya's Benson Kipruto won the men's race and Diana Kipigoi led a Kenyan sweep of the women's podium at the Boston Marathon, each picking up their first ever major title. American CJ Albertson set an aggressive early pace to lead the men's field by 2 minutes and 13 seconds through the first half, but saw his headster disintegrate over hilly terrain after the 20-mile mark as a tight pack overtook him. Kipruto, who won the Prague Marathon in May, pulled away with less than 10 kilometers to go and had secured a commanding 41-second lead heading into the last mile, absorbing the cheers along Boylston Street as he broke the tape in 2 hours, 9 minutes and 51 seconds. All we can say to the Kenyan team that represented us on the Boston Marathon, it's congratulations and many thanks for bringing the medals back home. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
SpiceFM, Nyeri. This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day.
Coming out of Mombasa this morning. It looks like it's going to take us a while to get out of the city centre today. We'll take a look at what it looks like in a short while, but it shouldn't be too bad as we get into the look of things. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127. We'll see what it looks like in a short while, but for now, looks all right.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair.
It's 8 minutes after 6. A very good morning to you. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room on this 12th day of October 2021. This is the day that the International Court of Justice will be making some pronouncements about a case between Kenya and Somalia about a maritime border. But already we have been told by our government, don't worry, Kenyans. Whatever they say, those are their stories. Hiyo ni yao. Sisi tunajua border yetu mahali iko. Yeah. Okay. This and more coming up in the Situation Room today. Ndu Okoh, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
You well?
Good morning.
Yeah, very good morning. What did you say the traffic situation is like?
It's already building up, man. It looks like it's going to be crazy today.
What?
Diversions already on Mombasa Road. We woke up to more diversions.
Where? I thought you said yesterday they had opened and it was smooth and blah, blah.
It was great. But then also the holiday factor probably added to this. But it's going to be madness today because then just turning out at that, the demarcation then between Nairobi and Machakos County, there's a diversion there, a big one. So
where's the demarcation between Nairobi and Machakos?
Gateway Mall.
Oh.
Wait. You pass Gateway Mall?
You're in Machakos.
Really?
Yes.
So it's Gateway in Nairobi and Machakos.
So you live in Machakos?
I live in Nairobi.
Okay.
Gateway is in Nairobi or is in Machakos?
So now Gateway is in...
Half.
Gateway is in Machakos County.
Okay. So what have they done now there? They are also creating a boundary.
Out of Gateway, the half the road has been diverted. So you have one lane now outbound.
Allow me to just ask this question. It's completely out of ignorance. The mention of an opening of a certain pathway yesterday, has that been interfered with or there's something?
No, see, now it's so funny because that part is open, right? That part is open, fine. Then what have they done? They've come to this other side now and then...
and narrowed it further. All right. So, okay.
And this place that has been narrowed is how you access the other open
Yes, it's
part.
how now you make the U-turn now to go inbound to the city, right? So if you're outbound, then it reduces some. Yeah.
Tutajionea mengi
Today.
Hey, Jesus.
That's why I didn't even say much in the beginning because in the next 20 minutes
You expect
madness.
things. Expect things.
Wait and see. Just wait and see. This one you can't even speak English. You have to put R where there's no R because it will be stressed. You have to wait and see.
So keep it right here for more conversations today. At 7 o'clock, we'll be having a conversation about screening for cancer. This is the month, isn't it?
It is. But why didn't you greet City?
Oh, he was up. City, welcome back. How are you?
I'm very well.
Yeah.
But I told you earlier on that I was well.
Okay.
Yes, but let me just so that you understand. I was well then.
Yeah.
I am still well now.
And you're the same person.
I'm the but now you've got it.
Good.
Personally, yes.
Good.
Yes.
So personally, City is fine.
So.
Dr. Caroline Karugu, the Deputy Governor of Nyeri County, who's also the chair of the Deputy Governors Forum, will be joining us at 7 o'clock to talk about access to cancer screening and also encouraging people to go for cancer screening. At 8 o'clock, we'll have a conversation about fighting unemployment through entrepreneurship. We'll be joined by Charles Warrior, who's the lead monitoring and evaluation and learning at the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund. Keep it here for these and more conversations. Let's begin with COVID-19, tracking the numbers.
96 new cases in Kenya. That was 9 new deaths also recorded yesterday. From what we're getting from the ministry, it looks like a slow day in terms of that, in terms of reporting. We're likely to see higher higher cases today. Of course, we don't wish for that, but this is just looking at what came about yesterday. And if we're looking at sample sizes and then what the ministry is telling us so far is that excuse me. So 233 patients recovered, 9 patients succumbed, 723 currently admitted, and 253 of those are on supplemental oxygen. We're also looking at the numbers of vaccinations having been done, inching closer and closer to the 20th of October. Now, 4,198,545 vaccines have been administered across the country. So we're about 1.7 million shy of the target for the 20th. Today is the what? 13th.
12th. Today is the 12th.
Today is 12th.
Yes.
Okay, I was giving. Okay, so today's the 12th. About 8 days or so to be able to get that done. We're looking now at about an average of 90,000 vaccines being administered on a daily basis. If they can keep it up, they still will not meet 5.8.
But they're doing 90,000 a day.
Yes, an average of 90,000 a day.
Isn't that a good thing?
It's actually good.
It is very good. I'm just saying that the target
No,
is
it's not very good. No. Let's be clear.
I'm saying that the target is
good.
5.8. It's good, all right. The target is 5.8 million. Even if they did 100,000 every day for the next 12 days, that's 1.2, and we're short 1.7.
Government with targets, we have established. The government has a target. We want to do this and the other.
Before January.
Forget it.
What
We want to raise 2 trillion shillings this year through taxes. Forget it. We want to enroll children to school. Forget it. We want to
provide desks.
provide desks. Forget it.
We want to provide tablets.
I don't want to build stadium.
We want to build stadium.
We'll be giving 6,000 shillings per family if we are elected. Forget it. Government target.
If you take the view that the word target, when referenced against the entity of the government,
As against.
yes, as against,
Okay.
for and against,
Right.
it is a mobile unit.
Yes.
It is here. It is here today. Tomorrow it is here. And if you take that view, then you will find you are not disappointed.
Yeah. Anything that, if it's a date, it's around there.
Yes.
By
ye-
20th. We mean between the 1st and the 50th.
Yes. And if you say this month, it means this same month next year.
Yes.
Take that view. And if it's the same month 2 years down the line, it's
still
still the same
October.
month,
Yeah,
October.
we said October.
Just
What's the problem?
did they not say October?
Yeah. And you see, we are doing very well. I mean, doing 90,000. Remember, we were doing 0.
Yes.
Well, we didn't have vaccines. So
And then we said,
we are doing 90.
yes.
Now
And
we
then,
have vaccines.
Yeah.
and then you ask them, but you said October 2021. Said, correct. I said it on October 20th, 2021. Yes. But you said that was the date. Yes, that's the date I said it. You realize here. Okay. Let's just leave it.
6:15, a very good morning. We are live streaming the show, SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We are also online. We'd like to find out who is online with us this lovely morning. It's not Monday, by the way. It is Tuesday. Okay?
For once, you're
Yes.
insisting that the day
It's
is actually the day.
Tuesday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll skip straight to Friday shortly. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
In the quest of saving an ailing son, Sonia does the unthinkable. Will the guilt of her misdeeds haunt her, or will she come clean? Catch Mother's Guilt at 6 p.m. every Monday to Friday, only on KTN Home.
It's cloudy in Nairobi
The
at
weather.
13 this morning, highs of 26 and lows of 13. Mostly cloudy conditions in Nakuru at 15, highs of 25. We'll see highs of 24 in Nyeri, where there's light rain at 14. And it's also mostly cloudy this morning in Eldoret at 14. We'll see highs of 23. Into Kisumu this morning, it's partly cloudy at 20, highs of 29. And Kakamega, 19 degrees, partly cloudy conditions, highs of 27 and lows of 16. In Mombasa, clear conditions at 24 with highs of 30. 30 will also be the high in Malindi, where it's raining in some parts at 25. In Kampala, rain showers at 18, highs of 26, where it's mostly clear in Dar es Salaam at 21. That'll be the low, going to highs of 31. Johannesburg is clear at 12. That'll be today's low, highs of 26. And Lagos, clear conditions at 25, at least for now, highs of 32. 33 will be the high in Kinshasa, where it's currently clear at 23. Out into Beijing at 17, it's sunny, highs of 20 and lows of 9. And in Paris, clear conditions at 6, temperatures dropping, highs of 16 today. 10 degrees and clear in London, 8 will be the low with highs of 15. And New York, still Monday night at 19 degrees, highs of 22 and lows of 17.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Okay, 18 after 6. Who's online?
Grand Mula says, good morning, Situation Room, Ndu Okoh City Muga, Eric Latiff. We will never lose the forest for a few trees. Okay, he's just letting you know that. The situation will not be lost. Isaiah Mbura says, good morning, guys. And Edwin Washira, good morning. Tuned in from Kirinyaga County. County number? Come on, CT.
Yesterday we were told.
CT.
Was it 2021?
Well done. County number 20. No. Dorcas Kimother says, good morning. Malindi tuned in as usual. Joshua Onsogo, Isoge Scheme, Nyamira County. I'm on board, he says. Good morning. Ugunja is tuned in. That's Benapudo. And Beda Ashley tuned in from Machakos this morning. We see you guys. Good morning and thanks for tuning in.
Karibuni sana. City, today's proverb?
You know, the Luya Nation, as it is called, and its diversity, I realize that perhaps I haven't done sufficient justice to the diversity. So I have plunked myself back into Luya land.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
This particular proverb, I found, one, it was verbally titillating because I understood nothing, but of course I understood because I have the translation.
Yes.
But just pronouncing it, let me begin and tell me what you think. Endi omucheni omuhui shole tuya tuya.
Surely.
Tuya. Andy?
Omucheni omuhui shole tuya tuya.
Andy omucheni omuhui surely.
That's what I got.
Tuya.
You know,
Evans Okalo from Kachimega is online. Ebu write that down, Evans. Andy
omucheni omuhui shole tuya tuya.
Bas. What does that mean?
It means do not break your cooking pot for a passing guest.
Tuya must be the guest.
I would
Going. When and.
I would have thought the passing guest would be omuhui. But this is,
Andy.
Actually, you know.
Andy is going.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I honestly have no idea.
Evans, do you understand that one? Let us know. Just type it right now. Okay?
You want me to repeat it?
Yes.
Andy, omucheni, omuhui, shole tuya tuya. It's actually one word. That's shole tuya tuya.
Shole tuya is one word.
Yes.
Wow,
Okay. And in English?
Do not break your cooking pot for the passing guest.
Very good. A good one. Do not break your cooking pot for a passing guest. Nice. Okay, let's look at the headlines as we wait for the meaning of each of those words. Okay?
Sure.
And also to get, so which dialect of the Abaluya is this one?
Yes.
From the Murembe Nation. In the headlines, Ndu.
Children are going back to school today. It is,
Oh my
after
God,
all, the
it's
12th
today.
of October.
Yeah.
Indeed. Folks were traveling back yesterday and over the weekend as well. But the CS doctor, George Magoha, has said that the ministry has acknowledged that many livelihoods have been lost because of the COVID-19 pandemic and are struggling to pay tuition. So, the school heads have been pushed to find different solutions instead of sending learners home over arrears. Now, the situation that we are dealing with right now is actually quite difficult and it's quite heavy because we're going into a new term. We had folks who had arrears from the last term of the previous year. Are you following me?
Yes.
And then the first term of this current school year still have arrears. So in this last term, we had parents who were paying arrears from the other term. Now we are going into another one just 10 days later. And so you've got arrears from the previous term. You have a school fees bill for this term. So things are quite thick. And the ministry has acknowledged this. And they're saying, you know what? Certain things have been done already. The government has lowered this year's fees by up to 8,500, citing the effects of COVID-19 that reduced the school calendar by 9 weeks. So primarily the focus is on secondary schools. But Education CS Magoha has asked parents to continue being vigilant on schools still charging extra levies. So there's that issue that has come about. So still be careful about that. Principals of secondary schools have been asked to admit all students as schools open for the second term today. The term will last 11 weeks and end on the 23rd of December. Basic Education PS Juan Julius also directed school heads to listen to students to understand their grievances as the second term begins. We want school heads to listen to their students' problems because there are many indisciplined cases which must be contained. He was reacting to the growing cases of fires reported in schools across the country, but he also wants the principals to harmonize their fees accounts to account for extra money paid by parents during term 1 admissions. He said most schools send old fee structures to parents, which were used to pay term 1 fees, resulting in overpayment. We are asking heads to ensure they roll over to the second term the extra monies parents might have paid for term 1. So, at the end of the day, the ministry is saying, you know what, guys, it's been tough all around for everybody. Please do not send students back. And if you did receive extra money in term 1 because of the old structure that was applied, roll it over to term 2. But at the same time, sit down and have solution-oriented conversations with parents about school fees. Please do not send anybody home who has arrears. Okay?
I'm happy with that. I'm just wondering. So when the government says it has lowered the fee by 8,500, what does that mean?
So,
Does it mean that the government is supplementing that 8,500? Or does it mean that the government is negotiating with the suppliers who will be the ones who get this 8,500 and telling them, make your goods cheaper by 8,500? What does that mean?
the reduction was pegged to the fact that the school year had been reduced by 9 weeks. So if they're not in school...
But that already happened at the beginning of the year.
Yes, but this was not brought in. So this is what they're saying. We are saying that we're going to reduce this by 8,500 shillings. We'll find that in many situations, parents may have already paid that 8,500, right? And there were the school term was reduced by 9 weeks. So if you've paid that amount, let it roll over until the second term. Those who have not paid, then you're fine because we're not charging
because
it
it's a
anyway.
short year. So then,
Exactly.
therefore, it follows that the fee will be blah, 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 prorated
Exactly.
8,500 less.
Exactly.
Those are stories.
So
There is nothing that has been said here that couldn't have been said before, and there's nothing that is being said here that has not been understood before. Parents negotiate with schools all the time.
Yeah.
So in this story, the question that I would ask, if I may piggyback on what Eric asked, what really is new? What really is this thing that you can say has opened a new chapter in this clearly troublesome waters of fee arrears and fee payments?
Yeah, that's true. Nothing new is coming about. It's interesting. Our friend Kahim Dumuli from the Secondary School Heads Association, he said, parents, pay fees, please. We know that it was reduced by 8,000 to ease their burdens.
Yeah.
We shall listen to parents, but it is important for the government to also encourage parents to continue paying fees. We know that they have suffered, and as teachers, we are also parents, and everyone has been hit. But schools must run. He said, look, we understand this, but look, what are we going to do? We need something, and I think the negotiations, they're asking for the negotiations to be honest as possible, because they can't run without funds, and that's just the case.
Why? Okay. As you take your children back to school, we wish you all the best. Yes, have a conversation with the school heads, right? And see how you can stagger the payments. Because as from the side of the government, you can see what they're saying. I mean, the children need to go back to school. We understand. We understand also as well that the parents are being asked to pay school fees quite fast. Soon after you just cleared paying the other fees, and now you are required to pay this. I mean, it's a pain throughout, and especially for the learners, and like you said, those in secondary school. You know, those in secondary school are at a point where they are aware. They're aware of what's happening. They're aware of what's happening at home. They're aware of what's happening at school. They're aware how this impacts them directly.
Sure.
And just getting to school and then getting sent back home on account of school fees, that by itself is quite painful.
It is. The psychological burden it does a number on you, for sure.
Yep, it is painful. It's painful. I've gone through it, I understand.
It is not a very simple thing. Many people have gone through it. I went through it at some point. Though what is interesting was the boarding school I went to, you never actually went home. You actually asked to stay in the dorm. You never left the school
Just don't
compound.
come to class.
Yes, you never left the school compound. I don't know that they understood that for somebody in Form 1 or 2,
That's great.
this is very good.
It's nice. I can sleep.
This torture of going to class. Because you had your meals with everybody. You just didn't have the pain of going to have, to listen to some teacher teaching you some maths you didn't particularly want to learn. But the whole process, as I understand it, the psychology behind it has always been a parent has not been able to communicate, or the parent has been communicated to and has been unresponsive. So the child is told to go and bring your parent.
Yeah.
But that, I have found, works better if the child is in a day school.
Yeah, for day schools where it's easy to go home and come back.
Because you go home daily
You'll
anyway.
go home anyway. So you're told tomorrow don't come without your parent. It's easy. For boarding school, especially if you look at extra county or national, where you have to.
My friend, do you have
By
to
the
traverse?
by the time your parents sent you there, that's the only money they had
Yes.
for your transport. You don't even. You're told go home. You have no fare. How am I going?
Yes. Do students, the question I want to ask is, do students really need to go through this harrowing experience? Is it really necessary?
Look, the psychological weight of being in school and performing is quite heavy. So now, take that, and the circumstances under which some students are in school right now is that the very last drop of resources is what your parents have given you to go to school.
Yeah.
Right? That, and you see it. You're aware of your surroundings. You're aware of the situation at home, at least at a certain age, right? So you already know what it is, even if your parents are not saying it to you. You already see the burden of them sending you to school. And if you have siblings, you realize that this burden is then spread across more than one child. So you are aware. Now take that and add to it any situation that would arise when, you know what? Go back to the same parent who gave you your last resource. And
You
tell
know,
them,
by the way, being sent home, you basically
Hey.
know you have been told, go stay at home.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you imagine what that does to this mind already that is bearing a lot of pressure? It's not...
Actually, and it's also at an age where a young person begins to be aware of what others think of them.
absolutely.
Yep.
And it's where peer pressure is probably often at its highest. It peaks at that particular age.
Yeah, and what are other kids going to say about me? I'm
Yes.
the kid who couldn't afford school fees. I'm
Yeah.
the kid, who didn't have this, that, the other thing. It was me. And you bear that label, even if things were to get better for you later.
You
You
know-
bear that label for a very long time.
And especially when you're in school with strangers. Like you said, I think day schools would be, because you're all in a community, you all understand one another. So
Yes.
people already know where you come from and your circumstances. When you're sent home, it's nothing new being announced
Yes.
to the school community.
Yes.
In a boarding school,
You know,
it's a different story altogether.
we were actually rehashing this with a former classmate of mine. The discussion took place against a background of one of our former classmates who had passed away. So some of us, we went to talk about school, and he said, the thing that I found comforting, now this is the psychology of it, was once when we were sent home for fees, we were sent home with so and so and so and so, and so and so's father was this prominent person, so and so. So I figured,
I'm fine too.
If these are the people also being sent home, then surely it can't be that
I'm
bad.
in good company.
This really can't be that bad.
It says something. I mean, I'm sure. Remember the story that Onyonka was telling us?
Yes.
About his father paying school fees, sponsoring others, and telling him, you stay here
Just
first.
wait. Yes.
You wait.
Your fees will be paid later.
Yeah, your fees will be paid later.
But you see the psychology there. This is the minister's son.
Yes.
Your fees will get paid.
Will get paid.
But this other person is not so certain. So
Yep.
let's sort this one out.
Yep.
Yours will be sorted out
Yep.
without question.
Yeah. And it means that even if he went to school, he'd be admitted.
Yes.
We know your father will pay. I mean, your father has paid for so and so and so. and
So
so.
he'll pay your fees.
Pay
We
your
know.
fees
And we know
also.
who your father is.
Yes. He's a senior government official. 27 minutes to 7. Kenya's biggest conversation continues. So Evans Okalo says, Endi is I am. Omucheni is a visitor. Omuhui is someone who's passing by. And Sholetuya is worrying.
So we know that Omu definitely now is what it would include a person, a human. Omu.
Omu
Yeah.
is a person. Omuhui is someone who's passing by. Omucheni is a visitor. Omucheni Omuhui is a visitor who's passing by.
Sholetuya.
Sholetuya is stop worrying. Kenya's biggest conversation continues.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Hello.
Halo, umesikia?
Nimesikia nini?
Hujasikia habari? Hebu acha nikuambie. Kile kimetokea.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Don't wait for hearsay. Dial star 550 star 1 hash to read the Standard e-paper from the convenience of your mobile phone for only 20 shillings from your telecom line, and stay up to date for a reliable source with over 100 years of experience with no additional data charges.
My children say that I am their shuja, but the truth is that they are my shuja. Watching them come home every day after school so excited to share the new knowledge they got that day warms my heart. Not all heroes wear capes, but they still deserve to be recognized. That's why Naivas is bringing you back to school ya mashuja to celebrate all the hard work parents and guardians put in across the country. Visit any Naivas outlet from the 6th to the 12th of October for amazing pocket-friendly deals and offers on back-to-school essentials to prepare your children for their next school term. With over 30 years of experience and 70 outlets countrywide, Naivas Supermarket saves you money.
Okay, not too bad, not just yet at least. Inbound traffic on Mombasa Road is already doing a number on folks this morning, and it looks like it's going to be there for some time now. Jogger Road, my goodness, where it wasn't yesterday, it is today. All the way from the train station out towards Landis Road and then spilling over onto the Kamkunji roundabout. That one doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime just yet. Uhuru Highway already jam-packed inbound as well. And we're also looking at some outbound traffic right around the Haile Selassie Avenue at the roundabout coming out of the CBT. Langata Road also building up at that Timor roundabout. You're going to get onto Bagathi Way without too much of an issue right now, at least. The Southern Bypass looking pretty good, taking you out of the city to only bring you back in. Longer but quicker. All right, let's take a look at the Thika Superhighway where traffic is already building up and inching closer and closer to Survey. Coming off of Kiambu Road is not too bad this morning, but we know for sure that it will build up. We've got a lot of folks on the roads this morning. Schools have indeed opened. So let's wait and see what it looks like around about 7 o'clock where we'll get into traffic hour proper. But for now, from all indications, it looks like it's going to be a busy Tuesday. Keep an eye on things for you. Help us out as well. SpiceFMKE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
It is 23 minutes to 7. Kenya's biggest conversation continues. There's a story here on page 14 of The Nation. Just allow me to read the story. It's a bit long, but I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Okay. Let me just set your mind at ease. We have time. So please, plow ahead.
The High Court wants police and prosecutors to investigate an online Ponzi-like scheme, One Coin, One Life. Justice James Makau ordered that the investigation focuses on how seasoned lawyer Jane Nyaboke Njage lost 867,000 shillings to the scheme run by Steve Mwendwa and Emmanuel Gatobu. 867,000 shillings. Mwendwa allegedly borrowed and invested 2.2 million shillings in the online business on behalf of Njage by buying 1,283 digital coins. He's been demanding the debt since 2018, leading to the lawyer's arrest in what Justice Makau described as a clear abuse of power due to the connection of Mwendwa with the powers that be. So in the court papers, Ms. Njagi says Mwendwa approached her and introduced her to the One Coin, One Life. He told her that the venture was lucrative and that he had invested 900,000 shillings and made a profit of 47 million shillings in a short period. 900,000 investment, 47 million shillings is a return in a short period. That's lucrative, isn't it? She was told that prominent people, including an MP, a cabinet secretary, had invested in the business. She was also informed that the business would go public by October 2018 and she'd become a life member if she invested. Mr. Mwendwa told her that he was entitled to a 10% commission on the investment made by any member he recruited. He then said he had an account that had 500 coins that he was selling. She expressed interest and said she was willing to open an account and buy the digital coins for 770,000. He then took her to OneCoin offices at Norwich House on Moi Avenue, Nairobi, and she was taken through cryptocurrency training. At the offices, Njage met Mr. Gatobu, who introduced himself as the OneCoin CEO and explained how the business works. He informed Ms. Njage that if she invested 777,000 shillings, she could make a profit of about 1.6 million shillings. So she deposited that money, 777,000, in an account at the Meru branch of KCB Bank in the name of Steflink Holdings. She deposited another 90,000 as fees for opening and operating an account with One Coin, One Life. Mr. Gatobu acknowledged receiving the money but never issued an official receipt despite demands. A week later, Mr. Mwendwa called and informed her that he had borrowed 2.2 million shillings from his wife and invested it in the business on behalf of Ms. Njage. He then demanded a refund on account of the purported investment. So he calls and says, you know what, I've actually taken some money from my wife and I've invested it in your account. Now what you need to do is you need to repay me. But Njage informed Mwendwa that she was unaware of the debt because she had not instructed him to borrow or to invest on her behalf. That was the genesis of the tribulations. Njage contacted Gatobu to inquire about Mwendwa's outrageous demand. Gatobu informed her that Mwendwa is not a shareholder or an account holder in this company. Njage told the court that Mwendwa then started blackmailing her to acknowledge the debt. He threatened to expose her as a lawyer and a fraudster through social media for allegedly failing to refund the money. He also threatened to have her arrested and invite the media to cover the matter. He further threatened to use his uncle, an MP, to get her arrested. The lawyer was summoned to the Parliament Police Station in 2018 in connection with the complaint. She was released on cash bail and ordered to appear in court on September 13th the same year and answer to the charges. Ruling in favor of the lawyer, Justice Makau faulted the police for bringing criminal proceedings against her without giving her an opportunity to tell her side of the story. Now, that is an entire story. There's more. But what do you get out of this? Someone has come and told you, you know what, me have been investing in this thing. It's called OneCoin. Yeah? It's a cryptocurrency, blah, 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 blah. I've put in money, I've made money. You can also make money. You know, as a life member, I have an account. And I get commission for everybody who comes in. So I have some coins I can sell to you. She puts in money to buy the coins. Does not get any official receipt. Later, she calls and says, you know, I've actually put some more money on your behalf. So what you do is you now need to start paying me for that loan. She's like, which loan? I didn't tell you to put in a loan. I'm going to expose you. I will expose you.
Is there evidence that money was actually deposited?
The man is not an account holder nor a shareholder.
And neither was he told to do this. On his own accounts, he went and decided to decided to deposit.
Now the judge has ordered a fresh investigation and says, The court notes that the petitioner is a senior advocate of this court of more than 40 years' practice. Her reputation stands to be damaged before her clients on charges that are meant to achieve certain goals. Imagine. We are not talking about a young person here.
Yeah.
Fraud in this country.
People are, you know what?
Oh,
you
go
know, I'm
Kenya,
thinking
my
about-
friend.
Yeah, you know what we've seen from the cases that we've seen most recently. One thing strikes me is that folks are ready to go to any length to make an extra buck.
Yep.
To defraud someone, to because the suggestion would be here that you've come up with your own company, given it a name, told some people that you've been investing and making a profit, and then you want to bring other folks in.
Imagine.
There is no proof
And
that
you can
you've made
approach
a
someone and
profit
they give you 770,000
like
shillings.
that. So it could be that folks are desperate on both sides.
Yep.
I have this and I want to make more from it. I'm ready to give it. I have nothing and I need to make something. I'm ready to defraud somebody to get it.
But we normalized avarice. We normalized fraud. We baptize it. It is our custom to find reason for wrongdoing. Anatafuta. They're just looking. They are making deals.
Yes.
Outright
it's
theft,
making
by the
deals.
way. Okay? They are making deals. Now, what do? I hustle. Swindler, fraudster. Now,
Hustler.
Now, we've normalized, and we keep normalizing it. There are very many people who seem to always have money, and you cannot put a finger on what it is they actually do.
Yep.
Try as you may.
They have money and they're respectable in the society.
Yes. But
Because by the time somebody is actually approaching a senior lawyer of 40 years practice and experience, it's somebody that she knows, it's somebody that she's seen, and then he says, this is what I do. We have this company, it's crypto. In fact, she'll even go on and show you tweets by the world's wealthiest man.
even show
he
you
invests in crypto.
even things that represents bank statements.
Oh, yes.
You'll be shown all those.
Yes. And you fall prey to this. Many times when you hear of these cases of, Ponzi schemes and all, many people imagine that it's just people who have their, a small saving of 10,000, 20,000. No, absolutely not.
No.
It cuts across the board.
It's very interesting. I was actually, I'm not sure that I was watching a movie or I read it somewhere, I'm not certain. When there's a character who is reported to have said that it is very difficult to defraud an honest man. Somebody who doesn't like shortcuts, somebody who doesn't want a quick buck, somebody who isn't a magic thinker and in their minds they know, money you work for. It doesn't fall from the sky.
Yeah.
Okay? It's very, very difficult for such a person to fall for such a scheme. They'll tell you, no, it's okay. So and so.
Take me through the steps.
Yeah. And even then, I still don't see how this money is made because I know how money is made, and the way you're saying it, it's a bit little alien to me, so let it be. Yes. Ponzi schemes and all these schemes, it's just an improvement of things that have always existed.
But also it's become that kind of nature. I mean, when you're talking about someone like Bernard Madoff,
Yes.
he was defrauding fund managers.
Serious fund managers who had millions and tens of millions and hundreds of at their disposal.
And these are people who are experienced in looking at numbers and looking at figures, and that's what they do on a daily
And
basis.
they have researchers who do the background checks on the people that they're investing
Yes.
in. They have a whole system behind them.
So we can say they're honest to a great extent.
Let me tell you, the Ponzi scheme by its very nature actually works up until the point when that chink now does its thing.
Of course.
Okay? All you require is
The end of the money.
That's it.
End of in is the beginning of the end of out.
Yes.
Let's take this quick break. It's 14 minutes to 7.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Hey, it's getting hot in here. The media has greatly contributed to the moral rot that we experience in this country.
I remember a senior politician telling me, point blank, nobody steals in the field, it's stolen in the granary. So my friend, if you're going to win an election, jipange kwa granary.
I think we are suffering from Stockholm syndrome. Our violator and abuser is also our redeemer in our mind.
The whole political class, the whole political institution is rotten. It is based on ideals that cannot progress our country forward.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
12 minutes to 7. What are you
94
doing?
You know, I am looking at very many things. But the thing that has actually caught my attention is a headline on the Daily Nation.
Okay.
23 women in heated race to be governors.
23.
23.
Wow.
20.
3.
2 and 3. And, you know, it is a good thing. It is a good thing because this story of the 2/3 gender rule, is it the 1/3 gender rule?
2/3.
I got it right the first time.
Done.
If it's 1/3 gender, then it's also 2/3.
Yes, exactly. 1/3, 2/3. The third is a constant.
All right.
Not only that it come full circle, but it has matured. Meaning, that story of women aren't quite fit for this and women should only do this and women can't do the other. That story has gone out of the window, it has bolted, and it has gone.
It's up in the sky.
Oh, it has gone. It has gone. It has gone. Because with this, what it will mean is all other seats, whether it is for MPs, whether it is for MCAs, whether it is for senators,
you'll have more women.
We are going to get more women entrants.
Very
and
good.
it is going to make the 2022 elections extremely lively.
Some of these women, actually, these are very big names. Charity Ngilu, current governor of Kitui County, if we say that she's going to seek re-election as a governor, this is a woman who has immense experience.
Yes.
Anno Igoro, Kirinyaga County. Purity Ngirishi, Kirinyaga County. Kirinyaga County also has Martha Karua, my friend Kirinyaga. Hey. In fact, if you're a man and you want to be a governor of Kirinyaga, just forget it. Just wait.
It's not going to happen.
Actually, take a breather. Look at your age and time. Maybe start.
Calculate nicely.
Yes, and probably start with an MCA. Wait till your villagers who are going to vote for you. It might be
Anno Igoro, Purity Ngirishi, Martha Karua.
My friend.
That's a beautiful
It's a battle of titans, isn't it?
That's a beautiful one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful one.
Yes.
Florence Mwangangi, Machakos, she wants to be the governor. She's
the
a current assembly speaker.
Mother of
Dr. Mercy Mwangangi.
Yes.
Agnes Kagure, businesswoman in Nairobi, she wants to be governor. Soipan Tuya is the woman rep for Narok County. She wants to be governor of Narok. Ruth Odinga, former deputy governor of Kisumu, wants to go for governor this time. Woman rep for Busia County, Florence Muthui, who's the chair of the Education Committee in the National Assembly, wants to be governor.
Ruth Odinga would make a good governor.
She would, eh?
Well,
what makes you say so?
That girl grew up in Kisumu.
Mm-hmm.
She understands Kisumu better than any of the governors that Kisumu has had.
Uh-huh.
Because they've all at some point grown in the periphery of Kisumu and moved away. But to say that somebody who understands the heartbeat of that place, Ruth Odinga does.
She's been there.
Ruth Odinga does.
Lived her
She's
life
a Kisumu girl.
Bas.
So if you're talking about somebody who would understand what actually goes on, and then she actually has what you call that common touch. Yes. She's a Mwananchi person.
Okay.
Something that you would have difficulty saying about the current governor and the previous governor.
Okay.
Nice people.
She also has a pedigree.
Qualified people. But then she also has a brother.
She also has a pedigree.
Yes.
Yeah. Fatma Achani wants to be she's currently deputy governor of Kwale. She wants to be governor. Paris Tobiko wants to be governor of Kajiado. These are powerful women. Muranga County woman rep Sabina Shage. Nyandarua woman rep Faith Getao. Nakuru Senator Susan Keheka. I mean, these are not names that you hear and you're wondering, so who's that?
No. You hear and you know.
Homa Bay woman rep, Gladys Wanga. You see, that's why I always say I support this 47 woman rep positions. We are looking at woman rep. Yes. You're not asking yourself, so who's this? And they already have experience campaigning county-wide. I wish we can all elect all these 40. How many are there? 23?
Yes, just to start off with. I'm sure
but some of them are running for the same position. So
yeah, I wish we can elect the 20 of them. In fact, more of them come.
Now, do you understand why
out of the 47
I found it interesting and exciting?
This is lovely. Bishop Margaret Wanjiru, Nairobi. Machakos gubernatorial aspirant Wavinya Ndeti, who's contested for this seat twice. Hey. Tamu. This one? I'm in for it.
You good?
I'm here for it.
Super.
I'm here for it.
As you are.
But in Nairobi, my candidate is male. Okay. Unfortunately for everybody else. For Nairobi, right?
Yeah.
As long as Sakaja is on the ballot.
For Gary.
It's okay. I support you, Margaret Wanjiru, and
completely
Kagure, everybody else. But
your vote.
Tuendele.
Are you voting for LPG prices to come down? Kenyans are paying dearly for cooking gas. So deep-pocketed and well-connected is the monopoly that controls imports of liquefied petroleum gas that no new player seeking to enter the industry gets past endless government bureaucracy. Petroleum and Mining Principal Secretary Andrew Kamau told lawmakers last month. The sabotage by government regulatory agencies in granting the necessary approvals for setting up large-scale LPG storage facilities is so significant, he said, that he knows only one firm that has recently received an environmental impact clean bill of health from the National Environment Management Authority. Kamau appeared before the National Assembly's Finance and Planning Committee to explain the sharp increase in fuel prices in the last review. He said, I know of 6 foreign companies that have for long waited to come to invest in the country in LPG and build storage facilities, but they cannot even get past NEMA. The only company that has so far managed to get approval from NEMA is Oil Libya, now Oil Energy, but is still yet to get approval from other regulatory agencies. A day before, the energy regulator had revealed to MPs that the bulk of the cooking gas used in Kenya comes via Tanzania through ports of Dar es Salaam and Mombasa. Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority (EPRA) Director General Daniel Kipto, said that much of the gas consumed in Kenya is supplied by one investor, adding that the landed cost of LPG in Dar es Salaam is $830 per ton and $960 in Mombasa. This means that cooking gas is imported at about 91 shillings per kilogram or 547 per 6 kg cylinder. But the cylinder retailed for 950 before the valuation of 16% and a cool 403 shillings margin. So landed cost per kilogram, or rather landed cost for 6 kg is 547, but by the time you add up all these other nice things, it comes to clearly more than that.
Wow.
The government maintains that it is soon to regulate LPG prices, as is the case with petrol, diesel and kerosene, arguing that settling price controls for the products will inhibit investments. What I find interesting here is that you only have one source coming into the country. One investor is able to make it possible for LPG to be available.
What makes it difficult for others to come in?
Apparently, according to this, is that the bureaucracy and the red tape is so high and so thick that nobody else can do it.
Where's the bureaucracy high?
Only one brings in.
Yes.
Because they've been able to circumvent the bureaucracy.
They've been able to either circumvent the bureaucracy or they've been able to live up to the regulations or requirements or the standards.
And
that
who
have been
sets these
set.
regulations?
Wait. I still don't get it. Only one brings in per time or only one brings in at all?
There are no new players seeking that. So deep-pocketed and well-connected is the monopoly that controls imports of LPG that no new players seeking to enter the industry gets past endless government bureaucracy. This is according to the Petroleum and Mining PS. So what he's calling...
This is Kamau.
Yes. Mm-hmm. What he's calling a sabotage by government regulatory agencies in granting the approvals, right, for large-scale LPG storage facilities. He says he knows of only one firm that has recently received an environmental clean bill of health from NEMA. Nobody else.
For
has
LPG
gotten
storage.
their storage. Yeah. So even if you bring in, where are you going to put it?
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
you may have the license to bring it in. You may have met all the approvals, but where are you going to put it? If you don't have the storage approvals, where will you put it?
But this is the PS who's saying this.
Yes, he's saying that government, deep-pocketed government.
So the PS should actually be telling us what
Who these cartels are.
in government and what he's doing. I mean, he's been the PS for more than a year.
Are those agencies not under his purview?
It would appear they are. But what he's trying to tell you is that he's in the house. There's a fire. He's trying to get out. He knows who set the fire, but it's difficult for him right now.
Are these regulatory bodies independent?
Of what?
Well, some of them.
The reason why
some of them actually end up being independent, because of the influence that they peddle.
Yes.
I think that's what the PS is saying.
Yes. That
some of these things are untouchable.
Their influence peddling is beyond him.
Yeah.
They can't get out. He knows who lit the fire. He can't get out of the fire. So.
This is a big one.
It is.
This is a big one.
Remember the discussion we were having earlier on in the morning, Eric, with regards to the task force?
The Kenya Power task force that has now been given the power, that has now been reconstituted as a task force to implement the task force's report.
You know, LPG gas is energy. It's a derivative of the other thing that we were talking about earlier on, the one which has been doing the thing. And the thing which it has done is what has caused this particular thing. Okay? They have their work cut out for them. Because if you're talking about, just as a layman, when I look at the number of players in the energy sector, as in petrol dealers, okay? Independent, small, big, they're all over the landscape. So when someone tells you that it's only Oil Libya, Ola Energy, who have been given the okay to be able, you actually pause and say, hey,
why?
Only.
But okay.
There are bigger players than this in the market.
Yeah, and even before Ola bought the company that it came and bought and started investing, there were
bigger players. And there's still bigger players.
And LPG storage facilities in the country. What are we being told?
I don't. Thank you. You have arrived at the same point that I've arrived at. I'm looking at this thing. Perhaps it's one of those things we need to give a second look at.
Yeah, and maybe ask Mr. Kamau to actually come here and just explain.
Wouldn't it be a good thing if Mr. Kamau came here?
Yeah. We'll look for Mr. Kamau. Kenya's biggest conversation. Keep it right here for more. It's now 7 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asseto. The Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission has continued to record disappointing numbers in the ongoing enhanced voter registration exercise. By the end of the first week, the electoral agency only recorded 200,518 new voters against a target of 1.5 million voters a week. IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati said Lamu, Baringo, Laikipia and counties bordering Somalia have continued to experience low numbers. In a statement, Chebukati attributed the small number to lack of national identity cards, as most of the young people who have attained the age do not have that important document. Chebukati has also said many pastoralists were not registered due to the nomadic nature of their lives. The IEBC aims to register 6 million voters and reach approximately 25 million voters, up from 19.6 million in 2017. These as the Commission has continued to complain about politicians forcing people to register in areas they intend to buy from. It has been noted that there are leaders who are pressuring university students to register in certain constituencies. There is also pressure from people to change polling stations, where so far more than 80,000 people have applied to change polling stations. In Kisii, more than 700 people have applied to change polling stations from Kitutu Chache North to Nyatieko.
Please stop the issue of transferring voters from one county assembly to another one. We have witnessed 2 instances now. There are people who are being transferred from Kitutu Chache North to Nyatieko. One polling center where people have applied to move to that polling station, 700 of them.
Now, Deputy President William Ruto's bid for presidency next year's general election has received a boost after former NAT Secretary General Wilson Sossion, an ODM-nominated MP, announced his support for DP William Ruto. Sossion, who met Ruto at his home in Karen, praised Ruto's plan to uplift low-income Kenyans with the bottom-up economic model he says is aimed at ensuring equality among Kenyans.
Mimi ni kama samaki ametupwa ndani ya maji, sababu agenda ya bottom up model katika dunia yote is pro common man and is an agenda of equality and prosperity of the common man. Kwa hivyo, Your Excellency, the choice of this agenda, this model, I can count you as one of the few brave African leaders to follow that route.
Sossion, who was a vocal critique of the Jubilee government, has also announced his intention to run for senator in Bomet County during next year's election. However, Sossion's move to announce his support for Ruto could also lead to his ouster from ODM party, where he is nominated. And still on matters, Deputy President William Ruto has cited a network of cartels in the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining as a source of rising fuel prices. Speaking in his current residence, Ruto said he was saddened by the fact that EPRA has announced higher fuel prices, especially petrol, which sells for 134 shillings. Ruto, who met his UDA members, compared prices with neighboring countries like Tanzania and Uganda, where prices are low, saying that the issue is not about taxes, but the greed of a few individuals in the ministry.
Ile cartel ya ufisadi iko pale ndio inasababisha bei ya mafuta hapa Kenya kuzidi bei ya mafuta Uganda, na hiyo mafuta inapitia Kenya ikienda Uganda. Jameni, unaweza kutueleza vipi ati bei ya mafuta hapa Kenya mahali ni karibu na mahali mafuta inatoka iko bei juu kuliko Uganda, na Uganda inachukua mafuta kutoka hapa kwetu?
At the meeting, Ruto continued to criticize his opponents for their meeting with the Mount Kenya Forum, insisting that they have not delivered anything to Kenyans.
Shida sasa ni wale tunashindana na wao leo. Number one, hawana candidate yao bado wako kwa hoteli, anafanyiwa interview na watu wengine huko kwa hoteli. Hawana track record kwa sababu wote wamekuwa na nafasi ya uongozi. Mimi William Ruto, I can speak about my track record. Kutoka nikiwa mjumbe, nikiwa waziri wa elimu, nilianzisha hii TTI ambayo tunaendesha naye saa hii. Hawa watu wengine wakuje na track record yao.
We go to West Pokot, where sessions at the West Pokot County Assembly are expected to resume today after a month-long break since the removal of the Speaker, Catherine Mukenyang. Mukenyang was ousted on September 7th this year following a motion tabled in Parliament by Endo MP Evanson Lumadun, alleging abuse of office, disrespect and non-compliance with parliamentary rules. However, Mukenyang, through her lawyer, filed a lawsuit in court against the ban in which the Eldoret court banned the Speaker's dismissal for alleged non-compliance. Today's session is expected to be heated as 26 out of 33 lawmakers are still adamant that they will not allow Mukenyang to preside over the assembly. Internationally, and the UK's failure to do more to stop COVID spreading early in the pandemic was one of the worst ever public health failures. The government approach, backed by its scientists, was to try to manage the situation and in effect achieve herd immunity by infection, said a report by MPs. This led to delay in introducing the first lockdown, costing lives. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
All right, so we're seeing it piling up on Jogoro this morning, getting out into the CBD. Landis Road is a mishmash of traffic, heading out towards the Kamkunji roundabout, and then it's also going to connect with that whole Haile Selassie business. Is really crazy still today, and it's feeding off of what is coming off in and outbound on Uhuru Highway. Aerodrome Road also building up right now, and what once was a free Langata Road is no longer, because it's jam-packed towards the roundabout at the Timor. Bagathi Way, however, looks pretty good. That's an option to use to get out into the city the long way. And also on the Thika Superhighway today, we're spilling over almost at Outer Ring, unfortunately. Kiambu Road not looking too bad, some red spots here and there, but we should be able to traverse that without too much of a headache, at least for now. We'll be in traffic hour in a few minutes, and it's already looking like it's going to be a crazy Tuesday. Not to forget, more traffic on the roads today because schools are open. More yellow on the road today, joining with the red of traffic. Let's keep an eye on things. Help us out here as well. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127. Let's keep things moving this Tuesday morning.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
Well, it's coming up to 8 minutes after 7. Very good morning to you. Kenya's biggest conversation enters the second hour. We are here until 10 a.m. this lovely morning. C.T. Muga has the day's proverb.
Endi omucheni omuhui shole tuya. This is a Western Kenya proverb.
Yeah.
It means do not break your cooking pot for a passing guest.
Do not break your cooking pot for a passing guest. Endi omucheni omuhui
shole tuya. That's one word.
Shole tuya.
Yes, in fact, it reminds me of the German language and how Germans actually specialize in compound words. Yeah. You can find a word that has something like 15 letters. One word. So now you struggle with it as you go along.
You deal with it. Full of consonants and few vowels.
Kabisa, you carry on.
Right. Somebody says, Politburo says, City, you're doing very well with Luya Proverbs. Then he gives you another one there for you to try.
Okay, good for him.
Yeah, a very nice one. I wouldn't read it on air because I don't know what it means.
Yeah, you want to be careful there, my friend.
Yeah. Our guest this hour is Dr. Caroline Karogo. She is the chair of the Deputy Governors Forum countrywide, as well as being the Deputy Governor of Nyeri County. Good morning, Dr. Karogo.
Good morning, Eric.
Good to see you again.
Lovely,
Happy
lovely.
New Year.
I know, it's been a minute. Lovely to be back. Like I said, I was one of the pioneer guests, so I'm so happy to be back and see how much progress you all are making. Congratulations.
Actually, it sounds like you're inspecting some projects.
Yeah,
But to see the progress you guys
the
are
truth
making.
is, I got offered breakfast when I came in. The first time I came in, I had to bring my breakfast for all of you. So, I'm just saying, you guys are making strides. Congratulations. Totally impressed.
CT can see the difference between a dig and a compliment.
No, this is actually a compliment.
It is, eh?
It is.
That's
it's
what
a
I
compliment.
think.
When somebody takes the time to truthfully tell your story, that is a friend.
Yeah.
And we will also truthfully tell her story.
That's That is right. Thank you for having me.
So why didn't you bring us coffee today?
I know. I had a big quarrel this morning with my house manager because we couldn't find your coffee. I was sure I had your coffee, but we couldn't find it. But you know what? By end of day today, we will have located it somewhere in the pantry. It's somewhere in the pantry. So you'll have your good old Dedan Kimathi Nyeri coffee for good old time's sake.
That coffee is actually very good.
It's good stuff.
It's wonderful. And I've been talking to the university. The unfortunate thing about universities is that they're not commercial. So I've been speaking about...
They don't have a commercial arm.
They do not have a commercial arm. So they're looking for an off-taker, somebody to take their products to market. And I think they've been struggling with that. Currently, if you go to Dedan Kimathi University, by the gate, there's a little kiosk where you can buy this wonderful coffee. But they haven't come up with a strategy to roll it out to the market so that we can have it.
Does this university have a business faculty, a business department?
It's a technology-based university.
Yes, it is all right.
Yes,
but technology is also business. Do they have a business?
I don't
teach
think
business?
so. I don't think so. I mean, I would need to check. I don't think so.
I'm going with this, don't you?
Yes, I do. 100%.
Yes. You
100%.
can't teach business and then not be able to practice it, for heaven's sake.
You know what they
are
did?
you teaching people?
They did what they did with coffee. They did some coffee yogurt sort of value added. It's wonderful. But they were unable to to roll
Take
it out to the market. So they got Wakulima Dairy, which is a cooperative, dairy cooperative in Nyeri, who are now doing the marketing, that last mile for them, which is fantastic. So that's an open market for Nyeri. If that is your area of forte, there is an opportunity right there to roll up some of the best world's coffee to the world.
Work with industry, let people who are good with the entire distribution.
Precisely. I think that's where the professor comes from. He says, I don't want to do everything.
Yep.
I don't want to do the research. I don't want to do the innovation and then do the last mile.
Right.
I want to leave that commercial bit to the likes of City, who look very excited right now.
I am excited, but you see, I am thinking of, say, for instance, the research world, a world I'm familiar with, and how it is. Many people who are in research understood that at some point, beyond just research, you actually have to implement.
Yeah.
You actually have to put all these things that you've been studying into practice.
Right.
So anyway, let's leave that for there.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
So where do they get their raw material from?
They have a coffee plantation.
Okay.
So
it's from
their own
coffee
homegrown
plantation.
coffee. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Been a lot of good things happening in Nyeri then.
Oh, wonderful.
And some also not so good things happening in Nyeri from the news that we read. We'll talk about that later. Let's first of all have a conversation about this month, because the last time you were here also, you were talking about the same. You were a big proponent for universal health coverage.
Right.
And especially on the issue of cancer screening and access to cancer treatment.
Right.
This is the Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah.
And you've been very big as well on the issue of cancer screening. Just tell us some of the work that you've done in the last 1 year since you've been here.
Great. Eric, like you say, I am a proponent of universal health coverage. I believe that everybody should have access to affordable health care. Doesn't matter where you are. There's this argument, if ballot papers and ballot boxes can reach every part of this country when we need the votes, why wouldn't we have dispensaries in the remote areas of this country working? It shouldn't be an issue of if or should or would. It should be, it's a right, it's a human right. So I'm a proponent of, if we are able to reach these people when we need their votes, then we should be able to reach them with healthcare. And I've done a lot of work, like you say, in Nyeri for 3 years now. Really just going to the villages, pulling people out of the villages and, sensitizing them first on the preventive side of things. Because what you realize government concentrates on by design or default, and I want to think there's a lot of money that goes into the curative side of things. So governments and lots of politicians will concentrate on the curative side. They'll build big hospitals that are empty, that have no equipment, that have no staff, that have no commodities. Because that side, there's a little shilling to be made, the 10% kickbacks and whatever. So you see a lot of concentration towards the curative side. But what is ailing Kenya right now is the prevalence of non-communicable diseases, lifestyle diseases, things that we can prevent to a whole extent or we're able to delay. Why then don't we have a lot more attention in the preventive, promotive business, for instance, that I do in Nyeri? 3 years on, I've been able to screen 130,000 people from Nyeri on a door-to-door sensitization, telling them it's important for you to get screened. And of course, you members of the Fourth Estate have really helped me in propagating that agenda and sensitizing people. We have no business getting to the point that you have a heart attack or that you get amputated because you're living with diabetes. These are some of the things that we can do, to change the culture of how we live in our lifestyle. So I think I have been successful in that bit, because it's one thing if you ask anybody from Nyeri, if you ask them, what does your DG do? They'll tell you she runs this cancer campaign. She's sensitizing us, sending us out of the villages to go and get screened. So in that sense of, is the word out there? It is.
So there's a lot more awareness now.
There's a lot more awareness right now. And a lot more people are finding it easy to swing by the dispensary and say, I don't have blood pressure, but just do my vitals, take my blood pressure, whatever. That's what we're told we need to keep monitoring. So that in itself is a big thing. With that comes a lot of issues, that I have realized are there in the villages. One is the myths. We have a lot of people who think, that some illnesses like cancer are related to curses. And, it becomes very people are able to believe it more because of some of these diseases actually do run within families.
Sure.
So if, for instance, you had a diabetic father, you're more likely, someone in your family is more likely to have it. So some of the things that then get propagated is then your family is cursed.
There's a
so
curse in
there's
the
that
family.
bit, the myths. There's a fear. There are people who tell me, listen, I'm not going to get screened, DG. I'd rather die. Nobody dies from morning until evening. I don't want to know. Let me just wait. I'll die once. You only live once and die once, So there's the issue of fear as well, the fear of the unknown. I'd rather not know. Right. And also, then there is the issue of, finances, which is a big one. Will I be charged when I go? I don't have the money. Is it a priority right now? I feel good. I feel well. So those are the things that we're dealing with, for instance, in the villages. But I want to say it's been a great success these last 3 years, and I want to thank all of you for plugging in.
Yeah. How did you do it? And I'm looking at now the intricate details of how you did this. 130,000 people in 3 years. It's not a joke when we're talking about screening, sharing information, and basically, and of course, I'm sure from those they were found to have some of these diseases, some then not. And then maybe then, how were you able to do it?
Well, every year I have a different theme to carry along the people. First year was just about sensitization. Listen, Nyeri County ranks highest in non-communicable diseases. We can't accept this position as Nyerians. So what must we do? Second year, I came into Nairobi, walked into GE, because I realized we had a lot of equipment in our county referral hospitals and various hospitals that were just lying there. And they called it the messy mess. There was a program that the government had introduced called the mess. And, so there was a lot of equipment given to the counties. Some disappeared and some were just lying there. And I said, we have a mammography machine that is lying there with a utilization rate of 2%, meaning people do not even know that you can have a mammogram in Nyeri, whilst Nyeri is ranked highest in breast cancer, for instance. So I said to GE, why don't we come together and have a campaign to sensitize people on the importance of, for instance, GE General Electric. They were the suppliers of the equipment. But because there was that messy mess going on, nobody wanted to touch it. And I said, people are dying. We're here negotiating with big English about mess and what, let's.
The machine is.
And the machine lies there.
Yep.
And it's a fantastic machine.
It's functional.
It's 100% functional, but nobody wants to touch it lest your name is on the list of the people who, So I said, what, we can't have this. We will begin to use this equipment. So GE came in, we did a fantastic campaign. That month alone of October of 2019, we screened 12,000 women, predominantly women. You know how men are. So we screened about 12,000 people. That month alone, we did, from a utilization rate of 4%, we were able to utilize the machine to about 120%. We're doing, 10, 12 mammograms every day. So people understood the importance of mammography, and we were able also to debunk the myths. 2019. 2020, we started another campaign. On this one, we said, listen, the issue of healthcare is not only a government issue. We need the private players. We need faith-based organizations. So all those hospitals we have in Nyeri that are owned by churches, we have, for instance, Aga Khan University Hospital in Nyeri that has a clinic. We have the Karen Hospital. So I said to them, we're going to have a roundtable, and all of you will have to join our journey, Nyeri's journey to wellness. And we agreed that in this month of October, they will either waiver or subsidize screening for both breast and cervical cancer. So that was what was unique about, that last year. So then there is the 2021. 2021, which is this year that we are in, we're concentrating on nutrition. What we have realized, especially for our patients, our palliative care patients, and we'll speak a little bit about palliative care, is that after COVID or during the pandemic, a lot of these patients have been at home, and a lot of them are not able to access, for instance, vegetables or, foods, healthy foods that are supposed to, keep them going. And we have a lot of complaints, from the doctors, and we have lost actually a few patients. And all that we needed to do was up their nutrition and nutrition therapy. So what we're doing this year that is unique is that we will be setting up kitchen gardens for my palliative care, those that we are able to map out, the patients that we have at home we'll set up kitchen gardens for them, so that then they're able to get their mboga, and they're able to, fill up their nutritional needs. So it's been different things. So what I try to do every year is that I try to do different things, and then in between I run a lot of medical camps where I take doctors to the doorsteps of these people. So we do medical camps, not in towns, but in these villages where you're saying you don't have to take a matatu or a nduthi to go and see, to go to your dispensary. The dispensary is going to come to you. And we don't want you to come when we're sick. When you're sick, we want you to swing by on your way to the market, swing by on your way to work. Let's check your BP. Let's check how you're doing let's have a look at your breasts. Let's do a cervical cancer test. So that's how, to answer your question, we've been able to do it over the 3 years.
Yeah. So a lot of work has been done in the last 3 years in creating awareness, in getting people on board, private sector, public sector, in also getting the community to understand cancer and what cancer means. Right. And also just dealing with what you're saying, the notoriety that Nyeri has as leading in the number of non-communicable diseases countrywide. Yeah. Has all this work had a dent on that particular aspect of the number of non-communicable diseases cases that you have in Nyeri?
Over 3 years, what we have seen, and we're still tracking it with the health teams, is that we are able to arrest these situations earlier than normal. In a place that all they need to do is, for instance, change their lifestyle. So what we've been able to see is a lot of people are able to get diagnosed early that, listen, you're borderline hypertensive, you need to cut down on this, you need to do, and what we have also done is that we have put up nutritionists across the county. I think just last year, but we recruited about 15 nutritionists to the primary healthcare facilities. So you're able to see a nutritionist who, for instance, if you're borderline hypertensive, that is able to be managed on lifestyle rather than on treatment. So, but the actual numbers, of course, are, 3 years is not a good time. Researcher will tell you, we'll do maybe data for 5 years, and we'll be able to begin to see those trends more clearly.
What I'd like to find out is, how is it that cancer became such a huge issue in Nyeri County?
That's a good question. Now, I said the same thing. We launched the palliative care policy just last week with the First Lady. And one of the things we said is that we are struggling with research, admittedly, in counties. Since health was devolved to the counties, governors are struggling with the real issues and having to understand why it is, for instance, why is cancer prevalent, for instance, in
the Minister of
Nyeri.
Health is struggling with research, okay? If it's any comfort.
And now you can imagine that was devolved to 47 different units. So there are people who have never touched research. For instance, I was reading a paper that was recently done by some researchers sitting someplace, I think in New York, about Nyeri and Nyandarua and the linkage between cancer and our farming activities. And even though I don't want to say that this is true, some of the things that I have found as I walk through the cancer journey with Nyeri is that, you see, the whole of Nyeri is not farming. It's not a farming community. We have a lot of farmers up within Kieni West, places like Endarasha. We have Kieni East, places like Kavaru. So places that are heavy on agricultural produce, and perhaps exposure to agricultural chemicals, are likely to show us trends of higher occurrences of cancer and late diagnosis of, for instance, of cancer. So I want to draw a linkage between the two. And there's a time I actually had called upon KEFIS. I did a paper and said KEFIS either needs to be disbanded or we need to be serious about some of these institutions, because KEFIS is supposed to walk around our markets, pick samples of the produce that we are feeding our people, and do a sort of, an analysis on, what, for instance, what chemicals our food produce and what proportion that has, so that they inform, for instance, county governments on where to nip it at the bud. Right. But some of these institutions are are there, I think, in my view, for the name, but we are not feeling them on the ground in terms of what they are doing to help us with, with especially the health agenda.
They're also severely underfunded. So they end up just focusing on what's going for export because the export market has demanded something, but the local market is not demanding the same. And you find, in fact, with a conversation we've had here, people have two plots at the farm.
Yeah.
There's a plot for export and there's a plot for the local market.
That is very true.
And so you will end up spraying your chemicals here because the local market is demanding that very red tomato.
Yes.
And even want to see some spots of dawa. We need to know that this one has been sprayed and taken care of.
Yeah.
And that ends up harming us. But as you're saying, KEFIs and other agencies such as KEFIs and the others in the sector should be creating awareness on the consumer and making sure that the consumer then demands higher quality, just like the consumer in the export market.
You know where the problem arises is not just with the fertilizers, but with the ingredients and the content of the fertilizers. The world over, there are certain fertilizers that have been banned.
And you know what? They find their way to our agrovets.
Yes, and it isn't one or two, it is many.
Yeah.
And there are things that have been blacklisted completely.
Yes, for their carcinogenic effect.
Yes, and it is known. It is known. What they do, how they do it, is known. So if you are unfortunate enough to come in contact with some of these products, then the likelihood of you acquiring diseases which you need not have acquired becomes very, very high.
I want to give you guys a homework. If you go look at our fertilizer imports numbers. Over the last 5 years, we have increased our fertilizer imports, to 45%. And that's fair enough if then our produce has also increased 45%. So you can then argue that we're importing more fertilizers that is then a catalyst to this amount of agricultural production, and therefore then it warrants this amount of fertilizers. Why is it that we are importing so much fertilizer? Of course, with what's going on in KEBS and everywhere, you're not very sure about what exactly is
what you're importing.
Or is important, and whether it's been dumped from other countries. There is no clear regulation on our imports for fertilizers, let alone understanding the quantities of the carcinogenic elements of those fertilizers. So it's a whole conversation that I think needs to be had, and it's not being had. We can tell from the outcome with the prevalence of, for instance, issues of cancer within the agricultural community.
Some of the findings that brought about the banning of some of these products were not research done in a year, 20, 30, 40 years. So they had more evidence than they knew this is what this thing does, because you follow farm workers over that period of time.
Right.
What is used and how they come into contact. And then you look at it generationally.
Right.
People who, their children and the children, some of these stories are actually horror stories. So when you find that a product has been banned, what it does to people is inhuman. That is the reason why it has been banned.
Right.
You can't find any mitigating. There's no grace you can attribute to it, none whatsoever. And yet, you will find that we have people in this country who willy-nilly import those things.
Right.
And then all these unsuspecting farmers.
Yes. Our government has not banned them. So they'll import.
Of course.
Because of all these pesticides. So just the other days when the agency in charge of licensing pesticides in the country, after pressure from civil society and farmer organizations going to parliament, they said, all right, so we are forming a task force to review the pesticides that we've allowed in the country.
And that's how that story is going to die.
It died.
That's just how the story is going to die.
It doesn't have timelines. It doesn't have anything. There's no.
The task force needs to be funded, and they need to go for benchmarking in the US and in Europe. So that's how
on paper, the matter has gone to Parliament. Parliament has asked the government to do something. The government says we are doing something.
Yeah,
we are doing our research.
I have every reason to believe, and I hope I don't get troubled saying this, that cancer is a business.
Ailments are a huge business.
Wow.
Why do you think we have big pharma? How do you think they exist? If we're all well.
There's a lot of people making sense in the whole continuum of cancer. How to make sure that people get cancer, how to then diagnose them, how to begin treating them, until the last day. It's a whole business, in my view.
Excellency.
Take me wherever you're going to take me.
It's
Jail me if you like.
It's a painful thing, and it borders on conspiracy theory. But unfortunately, you have to ask how it is that something that is really preventable is on the increase. How?
Precisely.
You have to ask that question. How?
Yeah.
I think you do. So I'm interested then in, again, just looking at this work that has been done and the number of people who have obviously been involved in this, how this was funded. And I'm going somewhere with this because I'm not just asking in terms of the shilling and the cents.
Okay.
But if it is possible to have this done in one county, and we're saying that it is preventative that we should be looking at as opposed to curative, if it's possible to have this done, then why don't we have a larger footprint of preventative care in the country?
Great. First of all, let me just answer how it was funded. I told you I get corporates, I get foundations. I know I got people like Kenya Pipeline Foundation. What they do is that they do not bring money. They'll say, put up a medical camp, I'll pay for the doctors, I'll pay for I'll facilitate you, and which is the kind of sponsorship that I like, because with money comes money, and politicians is not a very good idea. But they say I'm the only politician who doesn't ask for money. Those who go to those foundations go and say nipatie 10 million nienda nikawafanyie kazi. Now I say, you come to Nyeri County, come and let's walk the Nyeri County journey together. And that's how I've been able to get the likes of GE, the likes of Safaricom, the likes of Kenya Pipeline to just go into Nyeri, even in my absence, and do their own analysis and see where it's best to plug in. Now, if that can be rolled out to the rest of the country, that would be fantastic. But I think a more sustainable solution would be for governors to dedicate more financing to the health sector and monitor that this financing is going to the right places. Now, what you'll hear is that we pay for drugs, but when the drugs come, they seem to just disappear. So what does that tell you? The drugs are coming in, but some of the people inside there also own chemists.
Yep.
So the drugs will come in, and they'll end up in chemists, because chemists always have drugs, but the government hospitals do not have drugs. When we were doing the UHC conversation, it's an uncomfortable conversation that I also brought to fore. I said, why are we in government the ones struggling with this issue of, for instance, commodities reaching the people? Have the government have, for instance, if you say that we are only going to purchase from KEMSA, can we have all the government medicine embossed GOK, not for sale, tracked with a barcode? Let us have a robust tracking system. If I can track goods from Timbuktu to Nairobi on my cell phone, let's have a tracking system that this drug has left the manufacturer to the point that it gets to the consumer's facility. Mouth.
Sure.
Oh, the mouth.
We should be able to do that.
Hospital,
precisely.
You go and have a vaccination for your child. And there's a batch number, right?
Yes, precisely.
So then I want to see if my child has had the MMR vaccination.
Yes.
They're going to go back into the system and find that on this date it was given,
and this was the batch.
And this was the batch number.
Yeah.
If it can be done, it can be done on a national scale.
Yeah.
By the way, a business. Let's take a break. It's 25 minutes to 8. Kenya's biggest conversation continues. We are in the Situation Room with Dr. Caroline Kerogo, the Deputy Governor of Nyeri County and also the Chair of the Deputy Governors Forum countrywide, talking about the work that she has done, not just in Nyeri, but also she'll tell us about what they are doing also countrywide on cancer screening specifically, and also just ensuring that people are more aware about their healthcare. Good morning. Let's take this break, take a look at the weather and traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
I know we're in a society where men have become very lazy. They have made people's daughters become mamafuas. You know mamafua? Yes. That you come to a man's house, maybe you went out or you've come for a weekend, you find all his shirts in his laundry basket. Yeah. He was waiting for you to come and clean them. Are you his wife? Including his inner garments.
Right, yeah.
Ladies, stop doing that.
Let me
Those are wifely duties, and even some wives don't
That's
do them.
literally what I was about to say. I was wondering, there's even some wives who refuse to do that.
The only way to live your best life is to create a balance between work, love, and play. The Adults in the Room is the only show on radio dedicated to educating Kenyans on how they can stay winning in life and in love. Text the word adult to 22840 to get the latest clips from Adults in the Room directly to your mobile phone. SMS adults to 22840. We give you the latest, the funniest, and the most entertaining updates and news from Kenya and the world while you kick back and relax. Join in our comical duo Hassan Umar and Sugar Boy on Habari za News every Friday at 10 p.m. only on KTN Home.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads. You're listening to
Spice. Today and highs of 27. It's cloudy in Nakuru at 16, highs of 25 and lows of 15. Nyeri is cloudy at 14. That'll be the low for today, going to highs of 24. And in Eldoret, cloudy conditions at 14, highs of 23. It's sunny in Mombasa at 25. That'll be the low, going to highs of 30. And Malindi is raining in some parts at 27. We'll see highs of 30 and lows of 25. Kisumu mostly cloudy at 22, highs of 29 and lows of 20, while in Kakamega it's mostly cloudy at 22, highs of 27 and lows of 16. All right, let's take a look then out into Kampala, where it's raining now at 20, highs of 26 and lows of 19. Mostly cloudy conditions at 25, lows of 23 and highs of 31 in Dar es Salaam. In Johannesburg, sunny conditions at 12, highs of 26, while in Lagos it's mostly clear, 23, highs of 32 and back down to lows of 23. Kinshasa is cloudy at 22. That'll be the low for today, going to highs of 33.
Spice up your life.
Still continues, all roads leading to the CBD today. In and outbound on Uhuru Highway always has been a bit of a struggle, and it seems like it's continuing just so. Jogo Road also then joining with Landis Road, and also incoming traffic from Lusaka Road today is quite heavy. We're looking at traffic coming off Ngong Road as well, going towards the city mortuary roundabouts. Bagazi Way, not too bad, except when you get just at the neck of the roundabout. This is taking oncoming traffic from Langata Road, and also we're seeing traffic then building on Aerodrome as you head into the city. Thika Super Highway, not as bad as it was about a minute ago, but it's still quite heavy, and going past the drive-in. Kiambu Road, where there was no traffic, there is now. So we have entered into traffic hour officially this morning, and it looks like it's going to get just a little bit crazier. We'll give you more details as we go along. Help us out here, folks. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 20 minutes to 8. Kenya's biggest conversation continues in the Situation Room this morning. It's CT Muga Ndu Okoh, Eric Latiff, and Dr. Caroline Karogo, Nyeri Deputy Governor. So we're talking about all the work that you've done. And Ndu had asked you, how was this financed? And if it's easy for you to actually mobilize resources like this, why don't we see a lot more resources being mobilized? Now, tell us about the palliative care program that you've launched and how this can be rolled out countrywide.
Okay, great. Well, the palliative care program is more national. It's a national conversation that's, I think, whose time has come to pass. Because what we see with a lot of people who are struggling with life-threatening illnesses is that there is, towards the end of life, they are pretty much on their own. At this time, their, credit is maxed out. They have sold all the land and anything that they can sell. And NHIF at the same time looks you in the eye and says, I'm sorry, there's nothing more we can do. So palliative care is a holistic approach to people who are living with life-threatening conditions or people who are terminally ill. And then when I say holistic, we don't only look at, for instance, the medical perspective. We look at the psychosocial issues around, for instance, that illness and that patient. We look at matters, legal matters that come to fore when someone is terminally ill. We look at, for instance, looking after the caregivers, care for the caregivers. So it's really a holistic approach. And somebody asked me, can you give us just a Mwananchi way of defining palliative care? And I said, this is the difference of a patient who has gone through palliative care and one who doesn't have. We often hear in the Western world and, in the rich community that so-and-so died in the warmth and the comfort of their homes, surrounded by family. But what do we hear in the villages? Alikufa akiwa kwa nduthi, tukimpeleka kwa hospitali. That is a difference between where palliative care is working and where palliative care is not working. Because palliative care is supposed to walk the last journey, with you. And sometimes with good palliative care, the person doesn't need to see end of life. You can actually be able to reverse a lot of conditions or be able to delay end of life with good palliative care. So palliative care is supposed to achieve that holistic approach, that the patient is being looked after, that they're having conversations about this is what your illness looks like. These are your chances of survival. Spiritually, how do you sit? For instance, if you were to die today, how do you sit with your God? In terms of transition, is your family ready? Does your family know that they're dealing with a life-threatening condition? Are they ready? Have you spoken your last words? We are able, for instance, like in Nyeri, in the Nyeri hospice, we are able to also link you with a family lawyer should you want to write a will, should you want to prepare yourself. That is a holistic approach, so that if and when the day that you have to die comes, you are ready, your family is also, prepared to a certain extent, and there is the transitional issues are also, well looked after. So palliative care, where palliative care works, you're able to, for instance, if it's county governments or national governments, is able to decongest the hospital to about 30%. 30% of the people sitting in hospitals today have no business being in hospital. All they're doing is occupying bed space. With good palliative care and a good home-based system, those people will live a better life. Those people will live longer. Because, for instance, what I've seen with my cancer patients, those that are going through palliative care have no business being in hospital. We're able to see them at home using, for instance, the resources at the Nyeri hospice. And these people are able to get back to their daily life so that they're not sitting every day and waking up and thinking, I have cancer, I have cancer. You wake up, you take care of your ngombes, you take care of your mbuzis, you take your milk to the dairy. You're living a normal life, but still battling cancer. And you know what that does to the patient? It elongates the life and also makes
gives them some
the
quality
life,
of life and dignity.
Yes. Abraham Lincoln, that it's not about the days in your life, but the life in your days that matters. So palliative care looks at increasing the life in the days of the patients.
So are you rolling this within, is it to happen in home-based care, or is it in specific hospice?
What we did, this conversation has been alive for a long time. But of course, we have a fantastic excuse that we give. There are no guidelines. Give us a policy. How are we going to, put money in something that is so unstructured? So what we have been able to do at the national government level is to then bring to an end those excuses. There is a document that we launched with the First Lady just last week. I have it right here. I don't know where your cameras are. But that is the Kenya's Palliative Care Policy 2021-2030. And in here, they have mapped out the areas of consideration, what they're calling the pillars. Are we well researched? Do we know how many people in Kenya, for instance, are in need for palliative care? What kind of resources do we need in terms of the training institutions? Because another excuse that we give is that we are not trained for palliative care. We do not know what palliative care is about. So one of the things that I am lobbying for as the goodwill ambassador for palliative care is to ensure that in the medical schools, in our KMTCs, in our nursing schools, there is a course on palliative care that becomes compulsory for anybody who has sat in any sort of medicine, school of medicine or nursing or whatever, that they actually have a compulsory unit on palliative care, because that is a live excuse. So the other thing is financing of, for instance, palliative care.
Yeah.
You realize that what NHIF is currently doing, when they know that you have a life-threatening condition, they're currently asking you to pay your premiums 3 years in advance. So instead of 6,000 shillings, they ask you to cough 18,000 shillings because you have a life-threatening. So this is very punitive for instance, my patients, I call them my patients, those that I need for palliative care. This person is battling cancer. There's all this confusion around it. You have stage 4, for instance, breast cancer, and then you go with your NHIF paid up card, by the way, your card is paid up, and you're told, sorry, we cannot see you until you top this up 2-3 years down the line. That is, if that is not punitive, then I do not know what punitive looks like.
Do they have a legal basis for that? I mean, is there anything in the NHIF Act or in the NHIF regulations that says you can demand for payment of premium
in advance?
3 years in advance?
I do not think there is. I really do not think. I mean, I would need to check, but I really do not think there is. I think all they're doing is sort of, I think
their backs.
Yes, the actuaries finally just figured out that, listen, these people could be cheating you out of this, so you need to raise your the premium of those people who are exposed. So I'm saying that does not make sense. And we go back to UHC, Eric. UHC is supposed to take care of such patients. And I'm saying if the UHC program will be launched or will be rolled out successfully in this country, these palliative care patients need to be automatic members. The minute you have a life-threatening illness, then you become an automatic member of the UHC program, where you're able to access healthcare. There is the issue also of pain medication. Pain medication in this country is a story, is another story altogether. So
what's the story? It's expensive.
It is not pain medication. It's unavailable.
Okay.
First of all, it's unavailable, and the excuse is that there's an act that prohibits.
Off the counter.
Yes, OTC.
So you must have a prescription.
Yes, OTC.
With good reason.
Yeah. Because a lot of these things
understandably
can become,
But that in itself should not be used to say then a county cannot, for instance, order this much pain medication because we are not sure.
So that cascades into even how much you're ordering.
Yes.
From KEMSA.
Yes. So there's the things that conversations that need to be brought to fore. And if, for instance, you have these cancer patients that need this pain medication and pain management is a key feature in palliative care, because you're dealing with end of life. There's a lot of pain, for instance, for cancer patients, stage 4 cancer patients. They are in excruciating pain, a pain that sometimes we are not able to even to control with the highest doses of morphine. So pain management is a serious conversation that needs to be had. And if it's, for instance, reviewing that act, that prohibits large dosages being purchased from KEMSA, that needs to be dealt with.
Terry,
Yes.
You can't have a discussion on pain management without having a discussion on opioids.
Opioids, yes, you're right.
Unfortunately, in this day and age, the two go hand in hand.
Yep. You're right.
Yes. But what muddies our waters is just the manner in which our healthcare system is managed.
Right.
And everything around it. It isn't managed in secrecy.
Yes.
No, it isn't. Yeah. It is open corruption that actually baffles the mind. I mean, things that you look at and you wonder and you say, did these people actually think they were going to get away with this? And the answer is,
yes,
they actually do.
Yeah.
But that was a sidebar. What I wanted to ask, well, I was going to lose an opportunity to say that,
yes.
Is when we talk of cancer, there is a certain type of cancer that has been known to be prevalent in the Rift Valley region. The esophageal cancer, cancer of the throat as we call it. Okay? Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital have conducted some research. There is Patel et al. Have done some very profound research on this particular matter. And they have come up with a string of things that they believe contribute to this. My question now, when we talk of cancer, we are looking at every cancer known to mankind in this country.
Right.
Or are we focusing only on cervical cancer?
No, we're focusing on cancer, wholesome, and because like you said, there are some areas that you will see prevalence of certain cancers and non-prevalence of other cancers. So when we think cancer, we look at it in the wholesome, because the life of cancer, the journey of a cancer patient is pretty much the same, even in terms of staging and in terms of, curability or elongation of life, it's pretty much the same. So what we are saying is that when you look at the continuum of care of a cancer patient, from the day you're diagnosed until the day either that you're declared cancer-free or that there's end of life, that palliative care needs to be a key component, because cancer is a journey. You have no business hospitalizing these cancer patients for God knows how many years of their cancer journey, when the same can be done from a home-based setup and ensure that this person becomes more useful, in their community, and also that this person is aware, because some of the cancer patients, some of the things that I see when I deal with cancer patients in the villages is there's denial. Niliambiwa niko na cancer, but I was just told that it's not a cancer. Someone else told me it's not cancer. It's just a growth, that if I drink these herbs that are boiled 9 times a day, and it will be fine. So the issue of denial needs to be dealt with. That listen, this is what we're dealing with, and this is what your future looks like.
How do you deal with myths and misconceptions? Because at the heart of trying to get people to not just understand treatment but to accept it, this is the big barrier you have to overcome. How do you deal with it?
Well, in for instance, the palliative care centers that we have, and for instance the hospices that we have a counseling. Every hospice has a counseling center. It has a center whose responsibility is counseling, speaking to the patients and letting them know what the realities are. But of course, it's a little bit of swimming upstream, because when this patient goes back into the community, he has the Mamanjoroges and those are the village consultants who will try and dissuade what what you're trying to do.
Can I just add something to it here? Yeah. Borrowing a leaf from HIV and AIDS care and treatment. Peer educators.
Yes.
The very people who have cancer are usually the best people you can use for advocacy.
Actually, you're right. You're right about that. For instance, in Nyeri County, we have a group of cancer survivors calling themselves, slope cancer survivors. And actually, what these people do is, village to village, they go speaking about the stigma and speaking about the myths around cancer. Of course, such people are usually in an NGO setting and need funding.
Yeah.
So what we are saying in palliative care, how can we mainstream such people and ensure that they're part of our continuum of care?
Yeah.
Because what, for instance, I do that has really worked in my medical camps is that I have a station of cancer survivors. So before you go for cancer screening, you sit with a cancer survivor who tells you, listen, I don't know what they're going to tell you in there, but I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I'm currently living without one breast and I'm living a vibrant life. So whatever they tell you in there, look at people like me who have been able to beat cancer. So that works. It works. For instance, when you're when I do the medical camps. So to agree with you, the peer to peer, very, very useful. The messaging in barazas and whatever, that cancer is not a death sentence.
At
also
a higher
usually will work
at a much higher level, perhaps. And since you're a policymaker and a policy influencer, focusing on cancer research.
Yeah.
Tons of money in cancer research. We don't do much of it in this country.
Yeah.
And yet, this is where our institutions of higher learning can actually come in handy. Because with research comes money for treatment.
Yeah.
And it's something that the government will have difficulties coping with. But when you're supported with such a structure, so now you policymaker, you policy shaper, talking to institutions that deal with research, institutions that have medical schools, because are we going to wait until the disease overwhelms us, or are we going to try and nip it in the bud and try and allay its advance.
Precisely. And one of the things that the policy also is recommending in the pillar of, education, institution, and research is we need to have financing going to doing exactly that. The cancer research, the continuum of care, the longevity of life. So it's part of what the policy is recommending and saying this responsibility needs not only be a national government responsibility, but we need to have champions from the county governments saying to the institutions of higher learning, which, by the way, I don't even know why they need to be reminded, because that is a key role of institutions of higher learning. Research is a key role. But what I have seen and talking to a few professors is that they seem to be more inclined towards the training and side of things and not towards the research side of things. And that makes a difference between Africa and, for instance, the developed world. I went to Columbia Business School of New York, and I can tell you, if it's not research, they don't even start you. They don't even enroll you.
You don't even begin a conversation.
Precisely. Yes. Even how to get into the school is you must show them that there's a research element in your study, that you're curious about finding a solution. Now in Kenya, what if you want to get into a university, they ask you, do you have a C+ and above? That's it. But they don't ask you. That's true. When I went to Frankfurt School of Finance, part of the things that they required me to do was an essay. How do you think your degree is going to help bring up, for instance, the issues in the stock markets in Africa? So they want to see, are you just studying for the paper?
Are you just coming for the paper,
or
will
you be a research contributor? Now, that's something that fundamentally our learning institutions
Allow
need
me to
to
cut
learn.
you short, Madam Deputy Governor.
Yes.
It's just about 2 minutes to the top of the hour, and we wanted to have a bit of a holistic conversation with you.
Yeah.
Many people who are saying, kudos to the work that you're doing. This discussion is very enlightening. That's Mike Mwangi, Joe's Fresh Farm in Kisumu says, likes the way that you're articulating in the direction that you're taking. The headline in today's Nation is talking about the women who are going for governor position. Some of them are your colleagues in the deputy governor, like Fatuma Achani, deputy governor of Kwale County. We have seen you in politics. What's your direction, 2022?
Eric, I was hoping that we discuss
that's it.
And say goodbye.
Hopes and dreams.
Well,
and dreams.
You know what? There's a lot of work in the health sector in this country that still needs to be done. I do not want to look at 2022 and say this is what I'm gunning at. To be very honest, I did not get into politics to get into any political office. I just got into there to try and straighten some of the things that, for instance, are crooked in Nyeri.
But you're championing a women's political party. We've seen you in political forums. What are you working on?
And we know you are a fully card-paying member of the politics in this country.
Yes.
You are a politician.
In 30 seconds.
You're in a safe space.
The truth is, it's still early. We are listening to various sectors and subsectors, and at the right time, I'll be right back here. If it's to launch my campaign, I promise you, I will launch it right here.
There's a campaign that might be launched
on SpiceFM. For now, let us concentrate on the meaningful things like making sure that our patients are able to access good health care, which is what I'm passionate about right now.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Caroline Karogo, for joining us. Come again, right?
I will.
With the coffee, not about the politics, but for us to talk about the coffee. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. Dr. Caroline Karogo, Deputy Governor of Nyeri County, and also the chairperson of the Deputy Governors Forum Countrywide, has been here with us. She'll be back soon. Good morning. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Parents will once again be forced to dig deeper into their pockets as they will be required to pay fees for their children when schools reopen starting today. A huge percentage of parents complained about the short time, considering that the first time ended 1 week ago and that they are forced to pay full fees. Meanwhile, high school principals have been asked to allow all students to return to school for second term that will last 11 weeks and end on the 23rd of December. Police officers in Moyale are holding the suspected mastermind of a motorbike theft syndicate and his accomplice. The sleuths recovered 350 motorcycle logbooks, number plates, assorted sale agreement and delivery notes from a house belonging to the suspected mastermind, 24-year-old Isaac Hassan. Hassan alongside his accomplice, Mohammed Ibrahim, were nabbed while attempting to escape the police dragnet. The DCI in a statement said the arrest followed a previous raid in Eastleigh where a number of new motorbikes that had reportedly been stolen from a warehouse in the industrial area were recovered. Now, several political leaders have begun going on ground to urge the youth to come out and register themselves as voters ahead of the 2022 general elections. Mathira MP Rigathi Gachagua visited residents of Iruri area and sensitized them on the importance of registering as voters, while urging the residents of Mathira constituency who are not yet registered to turn out in large numbers.
It's important that our young people be part and parcel of the democratic process. They are the future of this country, and they must participate in defining their own future. And the way to define their own future is to elect a very responsible government.
Gachagua has also informed locals that if they do not show up and register, they may not be able to find suitable leaders.
Good people, it is said, who refuse to take part in electing leaders end up being governed by fools. So if they don't participate in the democratic process in the elections, they are even likely to end up with the worst leaders. So what they must do now this time round is be very careful, avoid euphoria and vote for people with a plan.
IEBC has continued to register low turnout, casting doubt on whether they'll manage to hit the 6 to 7 million target. Now, with 20 days to go for the IEBC to register between 6 to 7 million new voters, Kwanza MP is outraged by reports that only 2,700 voters are registered in the county compared to 78,026 targeted voters. Wanyonyi said reports that some leaders are planning to transport people to be registered in other areas is saddening and goes contrary to the election laws.
Nataka wale ambao for some reason wameambiwa kuja wachukue kura kwangu ili wapigie kura wale ambao wanataka beat MCS or whatever. It's a waste of time. Pole sana. Chukua kura pale kama uko West Pokot, chukulia kura yako West Pokot. Mimi sitakuwa na mpango kabisa ya kuleta watu kutoka sehemu zingine. Hatuwakuja hapa boost. No, it's not making any sense.
Wanyonyi was equally shocked by some Kenyans who want to be bribed in order to register as voters to exercise their democratic right.
There's no point Mkenya atupewe pesa ndio uende ujiandikishe kama mpiga kura. That's nonsense. Ndio sasa idadi iko chini, na uchumi iko mbaya. Afadhali nataka nimize watu wajiandikishe kwa sababu hiyo ni haki yako kupiga kura. It is your responsibility kuona kwamba uongozi wa nchi yetu imewekwa kwa mikono mzuri, si kwa sababu unapewa pesa.
ODM leader Raila Odinga will today meet with the youth from Mount Kenya in his efforts to popularize himself in the region. Raila is scheduled to meet the Mount Kenya Youth Consultative Forum in a session to be held at the University of Nairobi Amphitheatre. This will be his recent meeting with Mount Kenya youth after meeting with the youth groups in Nanyuki before embarking on a tour of Mount Kenya. Recently, Raila has spent most of his time in Nyandarua, Nakuru and Laikipia counties. Now, tension is high in Ford Kenya Party after a group led by Tongaren MP Aseli you convened a national delegates meeting to elect party leaders. In the announcement, Aseli said the main agenda of the meeting is to discuss the party's direction, approve the minutes of the previous meeting, as well as elect Ford Kenya's national leaders. According to Aseli, the conference will be held on the 6th of next month in Kasarani Stadium in Nairobi. Internationally, and Thailand plans to end COVID-19 quarantine requirements for fully vaccinated travelers from at least 10 low-risk nations from 1st of November. Prime Minister Prayuth Chan-o-cha admitted that its decision comes with some risk, but it's seen as a key step to revive the country's collapsed tourism sector. The 10 nations seen as low-risk include the UK, China, Germany and the US. The country has been recording more than 10,000 positive infections daily since July. It has fully vaccinated around 33% of which almost 70 million people. Half the population has received one dose. This as we continue to ask you to continue observing COVID-19 protocols, get out and get vaccinated so that together we may win the fight against COVID-19. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Still building up on Mombasa Road today. Inbound, quite some issues. Outbound as well, especially around that Imaradaima stretch, heading out towards the airport. All right, so also looking at it, Old Mombasa Road and that option that folks are taking to get out towards the southern bypass, that's building up quite some as well. The ICD route has quite a lot of folks on it this morning. Langata Road, folks, I do not know what is going on, but we know that there's that construction getting towards the roundabout. But further than that, the build-up is not today. Okay. We're also looking at it on Jogo Road, past the Makadara train station, out towards Kaloleni, and then onto Landis Road. Landis Road is tight completely getting into the city. We will see heightened levels of traffic for the next few days, guys, as learners going back to school. Uhuru Highway through and through, joining with Haile Selassie Avenue, going towards railways, seeing it coming out of Westlands. The list goes on and on. We are in traffic hour and it's going to continue for some time. Where are you stuck? Where have you found a good route? Would you let us know? We have traffic spilling over onto Outer Ring, coming off the Thika Superhighway. But for some reason, Kiambu Road is free. I think that's a good thing. Let's talk in a bit, guys. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, text 40127. Let's keep things moving this morning.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
8 minutes after 8,
the
Kenya's
only way
biggest
to
conversation.
start your
It continues on Spice FM around the country: Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, Eldoret, Nyeri, Malindi. We're also worldwide on www.spicefm.co.ke and SpiceFM KE on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. And for the next 52 minutes, we're live on KTN Home as well. We begin with Abaluya Proverb from C.T. Muga.
Endi omucheni omuhui shole tuya tuya.
Endi omucheni omuhui shole tuya tuya.
That shole tuya tuya is one word.
Yeah.
Rather compound, but it's one word.
Shole tuya tuya.
Yes.
And it means worrying.
Worry.
What does it mean in English?
Do not break your cooking pot for a passing guest.
Do not break your cooking pot for a passing guest.
Wow.
Powerful one. Our guest this hour is Mr. Charles Warrior. Charles is the lead monitoring and evaluation and learning at the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund. Lead monitoring and evaluation and learning. Okay.
It's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Especially the learning bit.
It's descriptive.
We just know M&E. This is M&E and L.
No, it is descriptive. Yes, because when you say monitoring and evaluation,
what lessons do you...
Well, you leave someone hanging. Okay, you've monitored, you've evaluated, and then what?
Yeah.
So this one, they tell you, okay, when you've done that, now you learn.
Yes.
I was hoping there'd be implementation at the
They take on the lessons then to the implementers.
Yes.
Probably that's what you do.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Situation Room, Charles.
Thank you.
Good to have you in the show. We call this the hot seat, where you sit, and we'll just warm it up for you a little bit as we have this conversation about fighting unemployment through entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Now that by itself is already just a hot topic. Okay? Because this is a conversation many people have. You went to school, you're looking for a job, but forget it. You can go the entrepreneurship route. You'll tell us how. And then the people will tell you how. But tell us about the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund.
Yes. So we call it in short KCJF. And KCJF was designed by the UK government as part of Her Majesty's government's contribution towards addressing unemployment in Kenya. It's slightly different from other funds that you have, in a sense that the other funds look to address issues of skills and skill building, in placement. So a lot of what you see out there as jobs funds are basically training funds. They are directed towards TVETs, to address what is fast appearing as a perception around skills gap. That our young people, when they come out of college, they don't have the skills that the industry needs, and therefore there's a mismatch. The Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund is different because it wants to look at something that is not being done before to create jobs. So unlocking the missing link. The missing link in this case is millions of young Kenyans have beautiful ideas that can be converted to industry, to create jobs, can be converted to enterprises. But those beautiful ideas are also solutions. Typically, when you talk to every Kenyan who's normal, they always have solutions. Kenyans have solutions to the things that are happening in the country. They just don't get much audience about it, and they don't get much opportunity to actualize those solutions. At the KCJF, we're looking at the next level of that and say, look, have you tried it? Has it worked? Is it working in a small capacity? Can it then grow? Can we work with you to grow it? So we're not looking for ideas. We're looking for viable solutions that have been tried, but they've been tried in small scale. The only problem they have is they don't have the funds to make it a reality. So they don't have the funds to build on that innovation broadly. They don't have the funds to unlock the market for the products that they're creating. They don't have the funds to look for some solution, some platform. For example, you have an idea, you have the product, but you need a platform to then sell it. So you don't have a platform. So we come in and partner with you through that. It's a £5 million program.
How much is that in Kenya shilling in today's exchange rate?
By 145.
Hey. Okay, some good money. Hey, that's some good money. There's a bit of this of the title of the fund.
Yeah.
Catalytic Jobs Fund.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the word catalytic is actually inserted there for a reason.
Yeah.
What's that reason?
Because we want to catalyze small solutions into big solutions. We want to find Eric. Eric is doing something. Eric is playing small, but Eric has capacity to go big.
Yeah.
With £100,000, we can turn around Eric's business. From being a small producer to an exporter. £100,000 is about 14 million shillings. So 14 million shillings can unlock whatever it is that's preventing you from exporting the avocado, for example. Why aren't you able to export? But catalytic also is that we want other people in that space to see how Eric's business can grow and also start similar businesses. So if a company is trading in macadamia, why should it be the only company trading in macadamia? Why don't we unlock that space so we have more people, because as more people begin to sell macadamia, more people begin to buy them from farmers. As more people begin to buy from farmers, farmers are, you get them to reproduce.
You catalyze them to produce.
Yeah, to catalyze, yes.
Does this not then assume that the market for macadamia is constantly expanding at the rate at which you're expanding those who are growing it and selling it?
Absolutely. In fact, as a matter of fact, the existing market for macadamia has not even been scratched. So while the consumption of macadamia is only 2% in Kenya, the Western countries, the consumption of macadamia is growing every day. It's the healthiest snack that everyone wants.
What is so healthy about it that supersedes groundnuts?
Go and ask them.
I'm sure there's scientific makeup, but
one of our biggest markets for nuts actually is America.
It is America.
USA is one of our biggest markets, export markets for nuts from Kenya.
Absolutely. And they want it in different shapes. Sometimes what fails our local producers is a lack of understanding of that market. So when I've spoken to the companies that we support that export macadamia, Even how you crack it is important. You know, sometimes you don't crack it properly, it chips, it lowers the price.
Sure.
You know, but also how the farmers grow it. The way the farmers grow it will determine, do you have a bigger nut, do you have a medium nut, do you have a small nut? Bigger nut fetches you more money.
Carry on with the nuts, yes. Small, medium size, big nut.
Yes.
Carry on. Yes.
And
Charles, carry on, please.
And sometimes there's also a market for cracked nuts. So if you have cracked nuts,
Whoa. Yeah. Wow.
No, you better intervene here.
Yes.
How then do you determine? I mean, because clearly, so what I'm hearing you say is that you're providing a key, the platform that would unlock or, creating the perfect marriage between opportunity and the lack thereof.
Yeah.
So coming together, creating this platform, unlocking the opportunities that lie therein.
Yeah.
How do you determine who you then help? Because I have a problem. He has a problem. Everybody needs this, opportunity.
Yeah.
Who do you determine? Because if we're looking at the percentages, Charles, of numbers of people in this country who have to deal with the worries of unemployment, who have to deal with many things like access to credit. Should they lack employment and going into business, access to credit is an issue.
Yeah.
Access to opportunity is another issue. How then do you decide who you're going to help and then who you're not going to?
Right. So every year we have what we call a business competition. But before we get to the business competition, we have a call for proposals. We put up a call in the media. In fact, we actually launched the call in the media, so that as many businesses as possible and as many young people as possible can know about that the fund is now open. You can now apply. We receive a minimum of 850 applications from small, medium businesses. We have to then take them through a rigorous process of analysis and review and selection up to a top 20. And then, of course, then there's, you must do a balancing between city-based, rural-based, arid areas, and all that. Also balancing between men and women. Because otherwise, if we leave it openly, the urbanites tend to take all the slots because they have a quick access to information, they can put in good applications, they have good English, and they're better able to articulate the issues. So we try to bring a balance. From the top 20, we then reduce the list down to top 10. And the top 10 they go through a business competition where you now come and pitch before a panel. Each year we constitute an independent panel. The businesses, KTN has been kind enough to cover it twice. They come, they pitch openly, and the judges make a decision on which was the best pitch. Out of that, we get the 5 top winners, and the 5 top winners walk home with £100,000 each. Yes.
How much?
£100,000.
In Kenyan shillings?
14.5 million.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how then, and I can hear you 850, then whittle down to 5, right?
Yeah.
But then obviously shows you that there's a glaring need. Sure, you're going to have some apples here who maybe not really serious about their business, but there's a glaring need that obviously other institutions are not taking up. Government is not providing enough support for. What then must be the outlook beyond what you're doing as this organization? What then, in your opinion, then needs to be done to tackle this clear, huge need for help for young people or even older people when it comes to the job market, which is non-existent for them, and then these opportunities that might present themselves?
So absolutely, it needs a multi-stakeholder approach to it that will involve both, funds like ours. It has to be in government. Government has to set aside funds for young people to do the same process, go through business competition, and get the funds. The private sector can do it. The good thing is that the venture capital space and the impact investment space in Kenya is growing really, really wide now. There's lots of funds that have come into the space. Some of them are as big as ours, some of them smaller. We have lots of them. Cinepiece is giving about $10,000, and a couple of others were giving about $10,000, $20,000. So there's lots of small funds. The challenge is less about the funds. The challenge is the viability of the solutions. So a lot of young Kenyans have ideas. They're still in the idea stage.
Yeah.
They haven't applied thought to it properly. So if you put him across the table, put her across the table and say, so where would you sell this? How do you know the market is there? They'll be like, oh, we've been thinking about looking for the market, basic things. For example, you can't say you can produce it when you don't know where you're going to sell it. So a lot of them do not meet that test of, yes, I can produce this thing, but also I know where I'm going to sell it. I know how the demand is. Yeah.
Who do you partner with in getting this done? Let me explain why I'm asking the question. Because when you're talking about the youth, it's you who's actually set this train of thought in my mind when you started talking about some of the pitfalls that some of our younger citizens face. Certain skills, certain abilities have to be taught.
Yeah.
Either you come from a community where you see it done, so you have the power of example to follow. But for most people, it has to start, because that is a way of learning, and an effective one, but they have to be taught. Now, when I ask about partners, I'm referring to institutions, I'm referring to government ministries, I'm referring to NGOs, I'm referring to people who make it their business to deal with young people on a daily basis and already have a foothold in communicating with them. Because this is one definite way of communicating with young people on how it is their lives can actually be improved. So, you as an entity may not have the wherewithal to do this right across the country.
Yes.
So, that's where the question of the partners come in.
So as a fund, we are not designed to do skilling. So we've been very deliberate from the start that this fund is not going to be funds to build capacity of young people. However, we have partnered with some of the local organizations. For example, an amazing one called Build Her. Build Her is a women's program. It's a women's. They are trying to do something pretty unique. They are trying to expand spaces and participation by women in the construction industry. So they are opening up women's entry into construction industry. So we partner with them to grow that space, to get more women working into that in that sector. However, for women to sustainably enter into that industry, they need certain certifications. And those certifications by NITA, certifications by NCA. So we then, partner with Builder to go the extra mile and say, look, how many of those that you work with need to get the national certification? What does it require? Is it the national exams? So do whatever it takes, just to get them that the skills that they have are anchored on certain certificates. Because otherwise, without the certificates, they can't get the jobs.
Get the jobs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So but that's in as far as we go, because the Build Has program is a very unique program. Only in the entire construction industry, women make up only 3%. Those 3% barely sustain their work because the construction sector is not designed for women. If we go to a construction site, sometimes it's one toilet. That one toilet is to be shared by men and women. You will hear the stories of how women will tell you, look, we can't use it.
Yeah.
We can't use it because you don't want to know things that happen when you go into that toilet.
Yeah.
So a lot of construction sites aren't built for women, and Build Her is trying to unlock that barrier into entry and get as many women as possible. The women have shown that they can, given a chance, they can do a lot more, even more than men, in an opportunity. So that's the far we go with.
So the other organizations then come in to either build skill or listen to idea and try and convert the idea into viable solution. So that by the time they're participating in this competition, they're coming here with some solutions.
Yes.
But then even just like what Kipto is saying, picking only 5 out of 800, and in fact there are even many more applicants.
Yeah.
What do you do with the other 795
Very good question.
applicants?
Very good question. It's been for a while. It was a dilemma for us because out of those 700 plus, they were not all bad. They have some almost 80% of them are very good proposals. So we've been thinking out of the box since our court too. What we do is we organize certain investor roundtables. And through those investor roundtables, these guys aren't the ones selected. They are therefore pitched to a bigger pool of investors. We've seen examples where those investors have been picked some. From that, we're still doing also. We're doing, I think next week or the other week, we're doing another one for the Court 3. But we're also doing a lot more of ecosystem networking, trying to showcase these guys, trying to talk to different kinds of investors. Some of the judges in our panels are also investors in themselves. So we're also trying to see, look, if you find from this pool something that you can fund. So we're going out of the way to see, look, there's a lot of good applications. Our fund is limited. There are many funds out there. So which doors can we knock on their behalf and say, just give them a year. Just listen to what they have. Yes.
What criteria do you use for selecting your judges?
So we have a broad criterion from different sectors, investors, entrepreneurs, funders, government. So the last one we had someone from government, we had someone from the funding, we have Dr. Bitange from the university. He's a leading innovator, and he thinks broadly in that sector. We have Duncan Onyango, who is now the CEO of Faro Ventures. He was then the team leader for the SWED. SWED is the Sustainable Urban Development Program. And we have Mark Mukuria. Mark Mukuria is a venture capitalist, and a couple of others. So depending on what we think would be suitable, in terms of the innovation space, the growth, the investment, the catalytic nature of things, then we pick different kinds of people.
Charles, all these people you've mentioned are technical people who have shown capability and ability in innovation and in understanding innovation. Do you have people who actually understand the people? Because there's somebody who has innovated, maybe it doesn't quite meet the mark, but the individual, if you look at them, you realize this guy, given the opportunity, this person is a sort of person who would be able to take this thing.
Yeah. You mean from the
that pool
of the judges.
Of the judges.
Of the judges, yeah. Well, that also has been a big debate for us, because the last one we had a list of 10. We needed to cut it down to at least 5. So it's always the debate on who do you leave and who stays on the list. But we always start with a long list of different kinds of people representing different kinds of sectors, including small businesses, in there. And then you're told, look, you got to bring it down to 5. So you
get the point that CT is raising.
Yeah.
I would imagine maybe someone like Mukuria, who is a funder, who is in this space, does not necessarily always invest in an idea, but also they invest in the person.
Yeah.
Look at somebody and see, do they have the passion aligned to themselves?
Absolutely.
And then I want to invest in this person. Whatever they are working on, it's likely to develop. How many other people do you have, maybe even working behind the scenes, who'd be able to identify this person has what it takes? I'm going to give you a question here. We have youths who are unable to read and write, but they have brilliant business ideas.
Correct.
You'd be able to look at somebody and see, yes, their presentation here is not the best.
Yeah.
The way they've put together this presentation and this pitch is not the best, but there is something about them.
You're absolutely right. So part of the selection is to look at who are the guys behind the idea. So whose idea was this? And what can we do with the leadership of that company? So that forms part of the selection criterion. So that they have to have some levels, like there's a passion, there's an ownership behind that, because you can have a good idea, but if you don't have a driver behind it, it's not going to grow, however much money you put into it. But get what we also do, that the top 20, before they get to the business competition, we all take them through a pitching prep. So we tell you have a beautiful idea here, but if you pitch it like this, it's not going to work, because you're focusing too much on the technical. We're not seeing the passion.
Right.
We're not seeing you understanding the market. We're not seeing you understanding the problem. So we take you through a 2-week intensive process of, you have a beautiful idea, how can you best sell it? And not just selling it because it is sellable, but it is doable. Because once money has been put into it, you have no other option. You have to make it work.
You have to make it work.
You have to make it work. So do you understand how it's going to work? Do you understand who's producing? Do you understand who's buying? Do you understand where you make the money? Because some of them have very good ideas, but if you ask them, so what makes it a business? Why do you make the money? We're social enterprise and stuff. But nobody's going to put 15 million shillings into your business if you can't show them where you're going to make profit. So you also solve problems, but solve problems in an affordable manner, where you also keep alive. You pay your staff salary, pay your staff salary, keep your business going, pay your business rent, So during those 2 weeks, we walk through them. We work with them through a very rigorous process of how do you bring it all together home. Yes. How do you bring it all together? And most importantly is, where is the passion? Without a passion, business won't drive.
Okay.
So where is the passion?
8:30, Kenya's biggest conversation takes a break. Let's take a look at the weather and traffic. What's happening on the roads this hour? We have with us in the studio Charles Warrior. He's the lead monitoring and evaluation and learning at the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund. The conversation we're having is how to fight unemployment through entrepreneurship. Encouraging entrepreneurs, people to just be innovative, think about a solution, make that solution into a business, and then see how you can access funding. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Were you born for the camera? Are you the presenter with the most? Well, get ready because we're on the lookout for the freshest TV presenters there are. So if you think you got the goods, jump right on because you could be the next face of KTN Home's Straight Up Show. We are looking for one male and female presenter, aged between 20 years and 25 years, with a social media presence across any of the social media handles: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and or YouTube. A must for you to like the KTN Home social media pages, and you must be fluent in English, Swahili, or Sheng. To participate, post your TV presenter audition video on KTN Home social media handles, that is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and remember to use the hashtag #StraightUpTalentSearch. Could it be you? The stage awaits.
The opportunities are here. Project X, the biggest youth empowerment project in Africa for young creatives, is here. Are you a model, a fashion designer, or a performing artist? Then this is the opportunity you have been waiting for. Register now for the opportunity of a lifetime by following @OpportunitiesAreHere on Instagram and the Opportunities Are Here on Facebook for more information and the registration link. Online selections begin on the 12th of October and registration closes on the 22nd of October. The Opportunities Are Here is a project by the Ethical Fashion Initiative in partnership with the European Union. Project X is co-produced by KTN Home and Vibes Radio.
From 2019, she has stayed with 6 different people. We are saving money. There's no need for him to be renting in this side.
And I'm renting this side.
No.
Yeah.
And sometimes this is an avenue for women to con men. Let me just be very honest with you people. Today we are talking about performing marriage duties while you're still dating. Why are you paying rent and this is not your wife? We need to start holding each other accountable for those people who are dating. Learn to buy your own bed.
The only way to live your best life is to create a balance between work, love, and play. The Adults in the Room is the only show on radio dedicated to educating Kenyans on how they can stay winning in life and in love. Text the word adult to 22840 to get the latest clips from Adults in the Room directly to your mobile phone. SMS adults to 22840.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to
We'll see some
Spice
sunny conditions
FM.
in Nairobi, later highs of 27 and lows of 14 today. Mostly cloudy at 17 in Nakuru. Highs of 25 and lows of 15. 14 will be the low in Nyeri, where it's cloudy at 16, going to highs of 24. Mostly sunny conditions in Eldoret. 17, highs of 23 and lows of 14. In Mombasa, light rain in some parts now. Highs of 30 and lows of 25. While mostly sunny conditions now in Malindi at 27, with highs of 30 and lows of 25. Okay, looking into Kisumu, 23 and mostly cloudy, highs of 29 and lows of 20, while 14 will be the low in a mostly cloudy 16 will be the low in a mostly cloudy Kakamega, currently at 23. Out in Kampala, it is mostly sunny at 22, highs of 26. We'll see sunny conditions at 26 in Dar es Salaam with highs of 31 and lows of 23. Joburg is sunny at 15, lows of 14 and highs of 26, while in Lagos it's mostly clear at 23, highs of 32. 33 will be the high in Kinshasa. It's mostly cloudy at 23.
Spice up your life.
Uhuru Highway still continues with that traffic madness this morning, and this is in and outbound traffic all the way from the Nyeri Stadium at the roundabout through to Westlands. Today, guys, is looking quite sticky. Also, that Landis Road issue is heavy. Right around the Machakos bus station also, there's a lot of traffic in and out of the station. I guess the day's activities are explaining why. Aerodrome Road, we're also seeing Langata Road quite packed today. Coming off from Gong Road as well. Wherever you look, you will find traffic. If you're looking for it, you'll find it this morning. Likoni Road, looking at Industrial Area. Enterprise Road, then getting onto Mombasa Road today. Not too bad. The Thika Super Highway has super traffic. And we're also seeing Kiambu Road in and outbound joining in that madness. The whole of Ngara, absolutely packed. Getting out into the city. Coming out of Limuru Road, packed is what it is. We're going to have to wait for some time to see that open up. Talk to us if you get stuck somewhere on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
Spice FM. Nyeri.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
It's 23 minutes to 9. Kenya's 94 continues. In the Situation Room on Spice FM this morning is CT Muga Ndu Okoh, Eric Latiff, and our guest is Charles Warrior. He's a lead monitoring and evaluation and learning at the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund. We're having a conversation about fighting unemployment through entrepreneurship. A question coming from Kiptor, who says 14 million is a big sum of money to give just one business. If you divide it to 500,000 or 200, you'll increase the number of the beneficiaries.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's one of the early dilemmas that we had. Why not split the money and give small? But then the other challenge is then you keep playing small. So if you give small, you play small. What you have is you have small businesses that can't grow because they're stuck in this rut of playing small markets, local markets. So what we said was a deliberate decision. Well, we'll give a significant amount of money that allows you, Eric, if you have your business, to grow. With 14 million shillings, you can unlock a lot. Yeah. You can unlock a market. You can unlock a technology. You can unlock blockchain. Blockchain would allow you to break into bigger markets internationally, as opposed to when we give you $500,000. $500,000, you can't install blockchain. Yes, you can barely buy a few equipment here and there with $500,000. So we're looking to say what can we do with you that will effectively reposition your business. With 14 million, you can reposition a business in this country, a small business in this country, and turn them from east to the west, the direction of west. And that was our decision.
So, monitoring, evaluation, and learning.
Yes.
So far, from the companies that you've financed, that you've helped, what have you seen?
We've seen amazing stuff taking place. Let me start with the avocado, for example. Avocado is one of the latest ones. So Kenya is losing about 70% of its avocado, not being able to export it because of the way it's handled. We don't have something called cold chain, and because of that, we lose days and days of shelf life of avocado. By the time you export it, it arrives in the market. The entire container has a mix of ripe, not ripe, yellow, whatever it is. The entire container gets rejected. And so Kenya is losing a lot of money, and it's not able to play competitively. What does cold chain do? Cold chain ensures that when avocado comes from the tree at 22 degrees ambient temperature, you lower it down quickly to 15 degrees using a cold system. So you take it from the tree, put it into the cold system. The cold system is at 15 degrees. The entire journey for that avocado, they are on the same temperature of 15 degrees. By the time they get to the pack house will be at 5 degrees centigrade. From the pack house to export, those avocado will arrive in South Africa or in Netherlands at the same temperature, at the same condition. No container is getting lost. When we started this work with a company called Time Senses, before they would lose a number of containers that arrive in the Netherlands and the avocado is rejected. Since they installed cold chain, they have not only lost 0%, but they have reduced the number of middlemen who are causing the mess in between. They have reduced margins for farmers from 15% to 33% margins for farmers. So a farmer gets more because the mess of getting the avocado from the tree, trying to find where the market is and all that is all solved for you. You just get it from the tree onto this truck. But cold chain isn't cheap. It's expensive, you know. It costs about £97,000 to get that done. But because it's been done, there's a lot of gains, you know, from the farmer side, from the company side. That's one company, okay? But look at, for example, Hello Tractor. Hello Tractor started in Nigeria before they came here. When they came here, they were small, so we figured we can do something. But what does it do? Hello Tractor targets smallholder farmers with mechanization. So that instead of having 20 people till your 1 acre for 4 days, okay, you're paying them at a minimum of 300 shillings per day, and you still have to feed them. You get a tractor. A tractor will do your 4 acres in 1 day, okay, at 2,000 shillings per acre. So with 8,000 shillings, you have tilled, you have plowed your 4 acres. It of course you 20,000 shillings, you know, hiring people, farm hands, they till it and all. 2 weeks ago, I was in Busia at Funyula, and I met this lady, Rose, and she was all praise about how access to tractor has not only turned around her plowing, but also her planting, her, you know, everything she does in the farm, in the 4 farms, you know, and she has significant amounts of money that she has saved, you know, that now goes into paying for other inputs that otherwise she would not have paid for before.
So what has Hello Tractor done that the other tractor people have not been doing? Because we have tractors in this country.
Absolutely. So Hello Tractor has an amazing solution where they find people who need tractors and they find who have tractors, and then they bring them together through a platform. A lot more times, people who have tractor owners do not know where...
It's a Hello Tractor
They can't find the business.
They can't find the business.
Right.
So you have your tractor, you're sitting somewhere in Malaba or whatever it is, you're hoping that someone will pass by and say, look, can I use your tractor? And no one is passing by, so then you don't get to use a tractor. What Hello Tractor does is Hello Tractor has they have built a platform. It's like an Uber, and then they have salespeople who go around mapping, and they have this thing they call route optimization tool. So you're given a route, for example, if you're given Westlands, you map out all the smallholder farmers in Westlands, their acreage, you know, their farm requirements, that kind of things, and then you load this information onto the app. When the tractor owner goes to the app, the tractor owner is able to see, if my tractor is on Wayaki Way, there are these many smallholder farmers here whom I can deal with.
Can service.
You have the option of calling them directly, or the salesperson will then link you up and say, look, in your area, I have 30 farmers for you. No, then you go and negotiate price, you know, and then you get work for the tractor. The farmer also gets to know which tractors are near me, so I don't have to go to her and her. I can go to him, but I have the choice of saying, look, his tractor is good, but he doesn't have the implements I need. Yeah, so not every tractor does the same work.
Right.
Some tractor owners invest in other implements. So, for example, in a planter, you invest in something for reaping. You know, others just have the plow just for plowing. So, depending on the needs of the smallholder farmer, you then pick which tractor has what implements, and therefore, if how much is he charging me for the tractor and for the implements, you know, and how quick can I access my farm?
For a long time, this debate of mechanization versus a labor-intensive approach to, say, farming, something that has occupied the minds of many people. Do you find that when you talk about farming in areas where you want to mechanize, does it bring about also a season of unemployment for those who ordinarily might have been employed to do the same work the tractor is doing?
Absolutely. So everywhere where you introduce technology, there will be some labor that will be displaced. You know, we're seeing it. For example, Mama Rose, she would employ about 20 people to work on her 4 acres. Now she only needs the tractor owner and the guy who's so this 20 have been
rendered jobless.
Rendered jobless. But she hopes that during harvest time, she then brings them back, because you can't harvest using tractors. So now they come back during harvesting. You see, and then what we saw also is they find some natural ways of redirecting their labor.
Yeah.
So because they will lose the farm, and usually in those kind of instances, the farm owner makes a decision and say, look, 20K, 4K, 20K, 4K, I'll pay 4K.
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'll pay 4K for the tractor, And those guys, naturally, they find a way. But in the solutions, all the solutions that we have supported to be in place.
Charles, in the rural areas, these many options that people have, when what you're selling is your labor, when you can't sell that labor, what else do you think they are likely to do? Because by the time you're selling your labor, it means that's what you have to trade with. Yes. Now, I know I'm asking a difficult question.
Yeah.
I'm also aware that there isn't an easy solution to it. But I also know that farming is not just a question of tilling the land.
Yeah.
No. In between, whatever it is you're growing, you will need to weed, you will need to do all these things. And the tractor can't quite do that.
Yeah. Of course.
And I think also in that area of catalyzing, because that's what you're saying, you're catalyzing not just the one thing, but the entire value chain.
Yeah.
In the case, for example, of the avocado exporters or this one, the tractor people, what else in the value chain gets impacted just by funding this one organization?
A lot more.
Who else?
A lot more. So let me go back to the avocado. So whereas we supported them to set up a cold room for the avocado in a pack house, the other companies have come into that space, for example, like Soko Fresh. Soko Fresh, they specialize in cooling trucks. So they bring in the entire fleet of trucks fitted with cooling. Those trucks can be expensive, so not every company can afford it. So companies like Soko Fresh, they specialize in, we will then lease these trucks to you. Other companies have come to set up the bulking stations, because the bulking stations also need to be fitted with cold systems. So other players have come into space and said, look, our specialty is designing and setting up bulking stations wherever you want it to be set up.
Okay.
Other companies have come in with packaging solutions for export, so that when you export the avocado, it stays at the same temperature all the way 4 hours to where it goes to. So those again are actors that have come into that space simply because we unlocked this cold chain.
Sure.
So unlocking this cold chain allowed them to come in with numerous other solutions, and we've seen that across many of these companies that we're supporting, that you unlock one place, other guys run in quickly. For example, down in Turkana, we are working with a company called Value Villages. Value Villages is processing fish fillet and then using the skeletons to make chicken feed. So once we partnered with them, other people who produce other ingredients for chicken feed swarmed this piece and say, now, to make chicken feed, you just need more than
just the skeleton.
Fish skeleton. You need this, you need this, you need this. So we are here.
Right.
So now they have all manner of suppliers getting stuff from there, from Lodwar, from Kitale,
So it impacts. Okay, I'm looking at. I mean, all of these different things that we've talked about so far would unfortunately need management. How can you ensure that these businesses that have been supported in the first instance then do not reach a point whereby mismanagement or neglect then causes the business to then fall apart?
Beautiful. So as soon as a business is funded, for example, as soon as a business wins the competition, we change the gear. So we move into a space called business needs assessment. And the business needs assessment is a robust process where we look at your entire operations, and seeing where are the strengths, where are the weaknesses, how will you run a proper business, what are your business management practices, do you have proper accounting system? For example, no one is going to hit you with 14 million when you don't have basic accounting system. You take the money and run to Uganda, and never come back. So we must make sure that you have basic financial management systems in place, you have basic HR systems in place, you have people to help you manage the business with the money. So we ensure that all that's in place. What happens is with the money we give you TA. So the money and technical assistance go hand in hand, and we don't hit you with the money all at once, bang. No, so we have tranches. So we give it to you in tranches. Within those tranches, we see how we use it. If tranche 1 was meant to unlock certain international markets, we see how those have been unlocked. Then tranche 2 is now meant to go and unlock production. We see how our production is unlocked. Tranche 3 is meant to build your internal system. We see how those systems are built. By the time you get your last tranche, we have ensured that you are a business able to stand. And through the TA as well. Yes.
I'm curious. Why did the U.S. government want to help us with our unemployment problem?
UK.
Did I say US?
You did.
I meant UK. Let me perhaps put in context. Why did Her Majesty's government want to assist us with our unemployment problem?
Yeah, I'll break it down to in a very simple manner. Countries like the UK and in other countries in the West have invested in a lot of aid in countries like in Africa that has consumed millions and millions of pounds. And every country that has been giving aid, always asks the question, so to what extent have we addressed this poverty? We've been addressing this poverty since these countries got independent. Why is it this poverty? Even the discussion on poverty is never changing. You see? So the thinking then was, is there another way to tackle poverty without necessarily giving free money, giving relief food, help them in the health systems, help them in this and this? So they said, maybe unlocking this through jobs. Get some of them who have good ideas, partner with them in terms of growing those businesses. So that if you support one business, it may employ 100 people. If you support another business, it may employ 1,000 people. That changes the game and brings in aid from aid to trade. Previously, it was the conversation was aid. And aid wasn't employing anybody other than NGO workers. So everybody else, all the poor folks in Kibra still remain poor. If you put 20 million pounds in there, you put 40 million pounds, yes, they will have water, but they still don't have jobs.
Yeah.
So now you say, why don't I find a youth in Kibra who can give me an innovative solution of providing water to Kibra, but employs people? They'll get water, they'll get jobs. They'll get water, they'll get jobs. And if they want to sell that water elsewhere, if they want to export that water, then we can help them find a market to export that water. We simply tell them, look, to export this water to Europe, you need to package it this way, you need to have this processing machine in this way, and then meet these quality standards, and then you can export this water to Europe.
Okay.
Out
of the goodness of their hearts, of course. How do they benefit from this? Yeah, let me explain why I'm asking this question, Charles.
Yeah.
There's an entire school of thought who are of the view that any country that was a colonizing country is merely returning what they took. So this
is guilt.
Yes, it's like taxpayer. When the government tells you're doing this, it's your money they're using anyway. They're those, but it's from that school of thought. So when I ask the question, what do they gain from it?
Yeah.
It's from that background.
And I guess let me give an analogy that in my life I've supported family, extended family, siblings, and sometimes you support a sibling until they're done with school, and then you hope that now that you're done with school you're going to get a job. They tell you, I can get a job. Can you help me get a job? So you help them get a job. Then okay, so now that you have a job, maybe I can reduce my expenses. So I don't have to pay your rent anymore.
Yes.
But then when I still come back and ask for rent and ask for this, you're like, but why is this help I'm extending to you not working? Now, over the years, yes, the modernization theorists have come and say, look, Europe underdeveloped Africa, and therefore through colonization, you need to give back. In my view, that's a stale argument. It's been 60 years. There's been many opportunities for Africa to grow. Get over it, Okay. And we can't say, they can't give in perpetuity. They didn't plan in perpetuity. Now, we have turned our laziness into blame game and say, look, I'm poor because.
Because
and
you were here
a lot of
70
people,
years ago.
yes, a lot of people, even on the streets, a lot of people who have different situations will find someone to blame for it. Oh, I'm poor because this happened. I'm poor because, and I have that conversation with my relatives and friends all the time. I said, look, you're not poor because, if you can change your game, you can change your tide if you want to. Africa has an opportunity. Kenya has an opportunity to change the tide. You asked what's in it for the UK government. I will tell you, it's a partnership. It's a beautiful partnership. I take pride when I see someone I've worked with and I've supported is on their feet and they're doing so well, and I'm like, you know what? That's my friend.
So the stain on your image when you're associated with somebody who has succeeded is a good one.
It's a good one. Yeah. You look back and say, look, I was part of that. Yes, I was a part of that.
Ndu, be kind.
But
I did a stain on the image.
It's a good stain.
However,
a good one. It doesn't look bad, right?
Yes.
That you're not necessarily getting anything out of it. It's not. So the reciprocity here is that you have helped and that you've contributed whether it's an individual, whether it's a community, whether it's a government.
Absolutely.
That you have contributed to the status of somebody who would have otherwise.
Your conscience is clearer.
Let me give an example. So today the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund has created 91,000 jobs. Has created 91,000 jobs. Those are 91,000 young people who Kenyans who are making a living. You know, remove the fund, and what would have happened to those 91,000 people? They'll be somewhere. You know, with the same or nowhere. You know, with no funds. So we take pride. I mean, I'm not a UK person. I'm a Kenyan person, but I take pride that these kinds of partnerships, you know, help to address a real problem in this country in a different way. You know,
Yeah.
in a
Charles,
different way.
I actually support what you're doing. Let me just say what I'm referring to is having a realistic and an honest relationship, because altruism, much as it sounds good, is very rarely practicable. That is really where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Let the relationship be there. Let everything that you're saying be done. But let's be honest about it.
Let's be honest about everything, eh?
Yes.
All the cards on the table.
Yes.
Facing upwards.
And we are honest with this one.
Let's say goodbye to our audience on KTN Home who've been with us since the top of the hour. Thank you very much for watching. These conversations happen every weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on SpiceFM. And SpiceFM is on 94.4 in Nairobi. Mombasa, it's 87.9. 102.5 in Kisumu. Nakuru, 96.0. 96.7 in Eldoret. 90.9 in Nyeri. And Malindi, 97.7.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
Thank you.
The political class, the contestants, everybody is trying to outsteal the other.
Remorse is not taught in any school. Manners is something you get from your mother. You don't get it from your political party.
Why are we so unfocused as a country? Why are we spending money and resources, yet we have real challenges in this country?
This coronavirus pandemic should teach us one thing, that universal healthcare is critical. Because at this point, whether you have a medical card that covers you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
All right,
matter.
2.5 minutes to 9. So when is the next round opening, Charles?
Unfortunately, we only had money for 3 rounds.
Okay.
So unless the UK government designs another fund similar to this one, the round that we had for this year is the last round, and then we hope that there will be similar programs in future.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, you're working with the companies that have already benefited so far.
Yeah.
And how many are there so far?
To date, we have awarded 20 companies.
That's a good figure to work with.
Yes, sir. So
20 companies, and all of them are doing well.
All of them, yes. The ones in the cohort 3 just got awarded, so they're just getting started. But we have 15 that are on a good path to success.
There are many people who have ideas, business ideas. I mean, some have hit a dead end in looking for jobs.
Yeah.
And now they are thinking, idea, got to transform this.
Yeah.
Others have always thought, I can get into business. In just a short sentence, a minute, what would you tell them?
I'll tell them no idea is a bad idea. But what makes a good idea and what separates a good idea from a different other ideas is you are a solution to what problem. If we all listened and observed our society, we realize that we come up with very viable solutions that address issues. The person who comes up with the water ATM in Kibra and in the slums listened to the people in Kibra and their water needs and said, this piping is not going to work. I'll bring water ATMs. Water ATMs, you're not giving water for free, but you're moving the cost of water from 20 shillings per 20-litre jerrycan to 2 shillings per 20-litre jerrycan. What you have done is you have not only reduced the cost of water, houses that were previously using 5 jerrycans will be using 10 jerrycans because now water is more affordable. You have brought in better hygiene, better health, but also you have brought in an affordable solution.
And it's making money. Bas. Thank you very much, Charles. Charles Warrior is the lead monitoring and evaluation and learning at the Kenya Catalytic Jobs Fund. Asante sana. Come back again soon with some of these companies that are doing very well.
Thank you.
This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
Sugar and spice.
spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President Uhuru Kenyatta held bilateral talks with the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres at the UN headquarters in New York. The president and the UN boss discussed several subjects of global importance, among them the security of humanitarian crisis in Haiti and Ethiopia's Tigray region, as well as preparations for the forthcoming UN Climate Change Conference COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland. On Ethiopia, the president and his host agreed to continue engaging the Ethiopian government and other actors in the internal conflict with a view of finding a lasting solution to the crisis. Now, strained relations between Kenya and Somalia is expected from today when the ICJ rules on the maritime border dispute between the two countries. Kenya and Somalia have been embroiled in a dispute with both countries claiming ownership of 100,000 square kilometers sea property and which is said to have vast oil and gas deposits. Kenya claims to have owned the piece since 1979, with Somalia protesting and demanding that the borders drawn from the coast be changed. Somalia presented the case in 2014 in the ICJ court. However, since the case was filed, Kenya, through former Attorney General Professor Githu Muigai, has been proposing diplomatic talks and opposing submissions of the case based on the relationship between Kenya and Somalia that needed to be protected.
The delivery of the judgment will be the culmination of a flawed judicial process that Kenya has had reservations with and withdrawn from on account not just of its obvious and inherent bias, but also of its unsuitability to resolve the dispute at hand. Kenya has maintained, even before Somalia filed the current case, that any dispute between the two countries regarding their maritime boundary should be resolved through amicable negotiations.
4.2 million Kenyans have so far been vaccinated against COVID-19, with the government having 2 months to achieve the 10 million end-year target. Meanwhile, 96 people tested positive for COVID-19, bringing our positivity rate to 2.6%. The ministry further states that 293 have recovered, 9 have succumbed, and 724 have been admitted in various health facilities. Now, Deputy President William Ruto's camp has received a new entrant to UDA, former NAT Secretary General Wilson Sossion, an ODM-nominated MP who has announced his support for Deputy President William Ruto. Sossion, who met Ruto at his home in Karen, praised Ruto's plan to uplift low-income Kenyans with the bottom-up economic model as aimed at ensuring equality among Kenyans.
Mimi ni kama samaki ametupwa ndani ya maji, sababu agenda ya bottom-up model katika dunia yote is pro-common man and is an agenda of equality and prosperity of the common man. Kwa hivyo, Your Excellency, the choice of this agenda, this model, I can count you as one of the few brave African leaders to follow that route.
Sossion, who was a vocal critique of the Jubilee government, has also announced his intention to run for senator in Bomet County during next year's elections. However, Sosion's move to announce his support for Ruto could also lead to his ouster from ODM party, where he is nominated. Now, even as Kenyans continue to deal with the high fuel prices that resulted to increased cost of living, Deputy President William Ruto has added his voice on the issue and stated that a network of cartels in the Ministry of Petroleum and Mining is a source of rising fuel prices. Speaking in his current residence, Ruto said he was saddened by the fact that EPRA announced higher fuel prices, especially petrol, which sells for 134 shillings. Ruto compared prices with neighboring countries like Tanzania and Uganda, whose prices are low, saying that the issue is not about taxes, but the greed of a few individuals in the ministry.
Ile cartel ya ufisadi iko pale ndio inasababisha bei ya mafuta hapa Kenya kuzidi bei ya mafuta Uganda, na hiyo mafuta inapitia Kenya ikienda Uganda. Jameni, unaweza kutueleza vipi ati bei ya mafuta hapa Kenya, mahali ni karibu na mahali mafuta inatoka, iko bei juu kuliko Uganda, na Uganda inachukua mafuta kutoka hapa kwetu?
On the 2022 politics, and he criticized his opponents for their continued meeting with the Mount Kenya Forum, insisting that they have not delivered anything to Kenyans.
Shida sasa ni wale tunashindana na wao leo. Number one, hawana candidate. Candidate yao bado wako kwa hoteli, anafanyiwa interview na watu wengine huko kwa hoteli. Hawana track record kwa sababu wote wamekuwa na nafasi ya uongozi. Mimi William Ruto, I can speak about my track record. Kutoka nikiwa mjumbe, nikiwa waziri wa elimu, nilianzisha hii TTI ambayo tunaendesha naye saa hii. Hawa watu wengine wakuje na track record yao.
We go to Kwale County, where Kwale County Police Commander Ambrose Steve Olo has banned discos being held during the day in the county. He said police have been instructed in all constituencies and the entire county to ensure that the ban is fully implemented. The move is to prevent people from contracting COVID-19. He said so far night discos have been significantly reduced. However, he has warned chiefs and police officers abetting the acts that they will be dealt with. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Seems that we're still in traffic hour this morning, and everywhere you look, there is traffic. Throw a stone and it will land this morning. Jogo Road in and outbound, Lusaka Road in and outbound, Likoni Road in and outbound, Uhuru Highway in and outbound, Aerodrome, you guessed it. Well, it's only one way. So Aerodrome all connecting then with the Bunyala roundabout, heading out into the city. We're looking at in and outbound traffic on Gong Road, as well as getting into the city centre this morning. Coming off a thicker superhighway, that has not let up at all. As far back as Survey, and then where there was no traffic on Kiambu Road just 30 minutes ago, that has piled up yet again. Limuru Road also coming out into the city centre, very, very slow this morning. Bumper to bumper traffic everywhere you look today. This is one for the books, but expected as we see more traffic on the roads because of schools opening, and then we're going to get back into the swing of things. Worry not, but for today, you need some patience to get through this one. Will you talk to us if you get stuck somewhere, or at least, let us know if you find a good route that other folks could be helped out with? Do that on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
It's 8 minutes
the
after
only
9.
way to
Kenya's
start
biggest
your day.
conversation. A very good morning to you on this 12th day of October 2021. Thank you very much for keeping it locked on Spice FM or online, wherever you are around the world. C.T. Muga has the day's proverb.
Do not break your cooking pot for a passing guest.
Do not break your cooking pot for a passing guest.
Mm-hmm.
What would lead to the breaking of the cooking pot?
It's symbolic, really. You see, what would make a pot break? Usage.
Yes.
Sometimes carelessness.
Uh-huh.
So, and if you break a cooking pot, it means you have something to worry about because you no longer have a cooking pot and you have to look for another cooking pot. And you need to cook in order to eat. So, if you think about the symbol, do you really want to go through all that bother for somebody who is transitory, somebody who is on their way somewhere else, and they are not necessarily going to be there?
Not really.
But
then as much as it is symbolic, there is also, the application of what normally happens.
Yes, there are people for whom you can break your cooking pot.
Yes. Or realizing that the cooking pot will still be there after the visitor has gone. And you still need it. So
you don't
use it as though
that's
you
the
would
beginning
for
and
the
the
people. This person is going. And you still need it for the people who are in your house. It's not fine china this is an everyday cooking pot that you will still need even after the visitor has gone.
Okay. Sawa.
You know, that's the sort of okay that
Yeah,
one
those
hears
are those ones of okay.
when one isn't
Sawa,
very sure.
Yeah,
and
just
one isn't
dismissing
very
you, telling you,
convinced.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay, we've heard you.
Bas, come on,
Okay.
neighbor, it's okay then.
Sorry, that's you insist. Okay, I agree. You've insisted.
I've heard you, even if you may not respond. I have heard you. Okay. So we are in that political silly season again.
Yeah.
Where, of course, people who are looking for the top seat in the country have come out and they're going around the country. They are being interviewed by several groups. They're meeting here and there. They're holding rallies. They are going in and out of Mount Kenya and other parts of the country. And those who are seeking other positions are also out there campaigning and selling themselves and their agenda. Now, what we've seen is something that from the very beginning of the Republic of Kenya, promises were what I will do for you if you elect me. Either I'm going to bring development. Talete maendeleo, tajenga barabara, tajenga hospitali, tutajenga mashule. You know, those have always been the things. Hospitali, barabara, shule, soko. We went into soko. We went into now vijana wapate nafasi za ajira. Na akina mama waweze kujimudu kimaisha. Things. Then we got into a point now it started getting sophisticated. Even now political party campaigns releasing party manifesto and coming up and saying, you know, our manifesto, this is what we want to do. It's anchored on these 3 key things or 4 key things, and our direction is economic or political or whatever reform. In 2013, we saw the same with the Jubilee Alliance and the CORD coalition. They released their manifesto, and this is what they were promising to do should they get elected. Notably Jubilee, because they're the ones that then got elected and sworn into office as the president and deputy president. They had promised a number of things. Infrastructure improvement, 10,000 kilometers of roads. We saw the other day the CS for Transport saying, in fact, we've done 10,500 with a year to go, all right, to the end of 10 years. They were talking about the first 5. They talked about infrastructure, railway. They talked about extending access to power grid. They talked about laptops for Standard 1 pupils. You know, just extending that technical advancement in schools. They took very many things that were promised. But people always remembered 2 things, laptops and stadia, among others. Laptop and stadia, because those were the ones that were glaringly not delivered the way they had been promised. Then 2017, the same duo, when they were releasing a second manifesto, in fact, William Ruto said, in fact, we had said 5 stadia, we are going to do 7, all right? 7. Those 5, they're in various stages of completion and they'll be completed. It was within 2 years, those stadia, the 5 that had been promised first, would be completed, plus an additional 2.
Yeah.
Called bakshishi, and other things that they also promised. They also promised in 2017, Uhuru and Ruto, they promised that every young person who finishes college or university countrywide shall be guaranteed access to industrial attachment that will be paid for by the government at 10,000 shillings off government's pocket into your pocket. As long as you have just cleared college, cleared university, boom, you have
10,000 waiting for you.
10,000 waiting for you as long as you secure an industrial internship. Okay? Among others. We are seeing now the same as we go into 2022, crystallization of those promises again. For example, you know now they're telling us the horses are 2 and the others are other kind of animals. One of the horses, Raila Odinga, has been quoted in the papers as promising a number of things. One of them being that there is going to be affordable housing, there will be education for all, and there will be other things. Affordable housing, healthcare, and education for all is what Raila Odinga promised, and he was quoted. He shared his agenda for the country in the quest to win the presidency. He highlighted affordable healthcare, education, and housing as some of his priority areas. Speaking during a church service at Hardy in Nairobi, Raila said many Kenyans are struggling to afford quality healthcare. He regretted that many families have been impoverished by medical bills, citing instances where bodies have been detained by hospitals over hospital bills. He said, "We want a country where when a baby is born, it is guaranteed education whether the parents are poor or rich. A country where when someone, whether poor or rich, is unwell, they get medical attention. Our people are struggling. You see people collecting money to foot bills before they can take the body for burial. Someone is already dead, but you have to pay for you to bury. Our people are impoverished by medical bills running into billions. We want to change this so that our people do not struggle." He was rooting for compulsory health insurance scheme that will take care of both the employed and the unemployed. These are among the promises that have been made. Yesterday in the papers and also in the news, there was a new fresh pledge that he made on 6,000 shillings being given to the poor families across the country.
Yeah.
This is basically augmenting what the current government is doing, which is paying 2,000 shillings per month to a number of people who are categorizing that the elderly and poor families.
Yeah.
So this one has now been tripled to 6. All these promises are made left, right, and center. Some of them, somehow they end up being implemented. Many others don't get implemented. And the question is, when promises are being made by politicians, how do we vet the viability of these promises? And how do we ensure that the person who then gets elected actually delivers on what they said that we're going to deliver?
Do you know what the fundamental flaw in this entire scheme of things is? What you hear being reported as utterances of politicians in the form of promises are precisely that, utterances. Magic. I will. When I do this, I will wave this wand and this will happen. Now, everything that is mentioned is actually desirable. Everything that is mentioned is something that would actually help improve the lives of people tremendously. The thing that you do not hear, okay, is a proper system which, if the government implements, you will be guaranteed. Because if it isn't part and parcel of something that can be guaranteed within the government and say, this is what we're going to do with it, and this is the part that is going to be followed, the utterances simply remain utterances. You see, like now, for instance, when we hear the discussions at UHC, what's making it look like it's crystallizing is the discussion about bringing NHIF. We know NHIF works. Now it's the details of how will NHIF bring this to realization? How will it come to fruition? But at least there's a path you can actually begin to envision. If all somebody says is, we'll bring UHC, you'll say, okay, how? Because we've piloted, okay, we've got that, all right? And then, how will you cater for everyone in the country? We'll budget, okay? How? Everything that is said will raise a question. But we've seen a response. Everyone has come with some sort of economic model. So they say, so they claim it's an economic model that will help. You know, the truth of the matter is this, many of these promises are being made by people who at one time or the other have been in government. Now, the question that I would ask, you asked about how do you vet? This is what I'm heading towards. When you were in government in whatever capacity you had, kindly demonstrate by telling us what it is you did. This is what your portfolio was. These are the tasks that were before you with this portfolio. And this is what you are expected to do. What did you do with it? And please go back to the time when you were a simple MP and tell us the things you have done. Because that one is not difficult to determine.
No, it really
isn't. It's not
isn't.
difficult to edit either. We will tell. Because if your track record, because it's a question of track record, is just making promises, then we will know. Here is somebody who we should listen to because he's a good storyteller.
But you know, Siti, when you ask that question and then you ask, in your entire public life and your public career, show us something that you did.
Yes.
Many of these guys will not lack something to show you that they did.
Precisely. And
They'll actually show you that, we've been told, During Ruto's time as Minister for Higher Education, he did this and the other. During his time as this, you will be told, when Raila was Prime Minister, he did this. When he was Minister for Roads, he did this. Thika Superhighway was actually launched when Raila was Minister for Roads. When he was Prime Minister, these are the things that they did in government. They'll tell you this.
I'm rather hoping that is what they will do.
Uh-huh.
Because if it's a government project, figuring it out is not difficult. The details of what was done, what wasn't done, who was when, that's what I'm saying. That is easy to audit. That is easy to talk about. Let them say it. Let us hear.
They've been saying it.
No, they've been mentioning it.
You know why I think these promises come out in the manner in which they do? Is that I think Kenyans have figured out that promises are the fodder that people need to remain in a deer in a headlight situation. Think about a deer in headlights. What happens? It's motionless. It stands shocked. It will not move until you pass. When you pass, then you've passed. The deer and everything else that it's dealing with, it can go back into the forest for all you care. I see it as constant entrapment, that you can come and promise the things which you know at that moment people need. And so it serves as something that is going to push you forward. But I think that the time is ripe for people who are being promised to realize that this is not the first time that they've been told these things, neither will it be the last time. So how do you sieve through this? And I tend to agree that you can't say that I have done this, whereas on the other side, you have a scandal as large as, the tallest tower in the world staring down at you in equal measure. You can't. And I think that if you can look at the track record of an individual in whatever capacity they served in, that should be a clue into what they would be able to do in the future. Truth be told. People constantly making these promises to Kenyans of we'll do this and we'll do this is taking a present situation and is leveraging on that to be able to hope that your vote comes to. I can almost say that there is no intent at that moment to fulfill that promise. It is to hold you enamored to them in that position and say, I'll give you my vote. Whatever you choose to do with the promise that you made thereafter, it doesn't even cross the person's mind at that point.
Eric had a very valid point when he raised that question and said that they say so. You see, there is a fundamental issue that is often forgotten when people are in authority or in positions of authority, that what they are doing is not a favor to you. That is what they were elected, that is what they were appointed to do.
That's the job.
Yes. So the yardstick is clear. Yes, this is what you've done, but what were you supposed to have done? Yes, you've said you've done this. Good, we've got it. Right. But what were you actually supposed to do? That's what I'm saying. The opportunity to say it, excellent. Let them say it. And let them go to town saying it. You then have grounds on which to actually say, all right, we understand with clarity. When you're in this position, this is what is expected of you, and these are the resources which were made available for these things to be done. All right? It was a 5-year plan, 2-year plan, 3-year plan. Let us now see what it is that actually got done. Now, for me, that is a good starting point.
I think that's a wrong starting point.
Why?
Because I think we're starting on the wrong premise. If somebody comes and tells you, if I ask you, Siri, so what have you been doing, with your life now that you want me to give you this job? Then he'll come and tell me, I have a sugarcane farm in Muhoroni. This is what I did. It was bare. I planted sugarcane and now I supply
in a sugarcane farm.
In a sugarcane farm. Now I supply. I had not asked you to go and plant sugarcane.
No, you didn't.
So I can't really judge you from your capacity to plant sugarcane. You know where I'm coming from? I'm coming from the point that previously we have not really concretized what we want from our leaders. In terms of they come and say, and yet it resonates somehow and we agree, you promise laptops. Did we vet whether laptops were the need at the point? Did we agree that laptops were the need? Or did we just say, you go and bring the laptops? So when they don't bring the laptops and tell us, we found that there was no money in the economy, we can't tell them anything because we had not agreed on it. I'm saying, I think the place to start is with the present. What you're saying today. Is it viable? Is it not viable? Because all these leaders, truth be told, Raila has a track record. He will show you things that he has done, and also somebody else will come and point out things that he failed. William Ruto the same. His supporters will come and show you things that he did, and his detractors will also come and show you things that he did not do. All of them will have something they did and somewhere where they failed. The question is, the things that they did, is it what they were supposed to do? Or is it what they woke up one morning and found, okay, this bus is moving to Mombasa, let me just hop on and be the conductor.
And hopefully I'll get to Kisumu.
And be a conductor and keep shouting and say, I brought this bus to Mombasa. The bus was already heading to Mombasa anyway, my friend. It didn't need you, you see? If we start from the point of, you're telling me you're going to Mombasa, do I want to go to Mombasa? How long do I want to take to get to Mombasa? In what part of Mombasa do I want you to drop me off? Because if you take me to Mombasa and you leave me at Maseras, and I wanted to go...
You haven't taken
me to Mombasa. No. So start from that. Does it make sense? Do you understand Mombasa? Have you any clue where Mombasa is? And do you understand that my need to go to Mombasa is because I want to go as close to the ferry as possible so that I can get onto the ferry and cross to the south coast? Do you understand that? If you don't understand it, then we have a wrong conversation. And that's what I'm saying. For us to start vetting these people, we need to just looking at, first, what are our needs? Does this resonate with my needs? Does this person seem to understand what the needs are? Does this person have the wherewithal to actually deliver this thing? Whether they've done it in the past, they clearly, at the point where we are right now, the people we are dealing with, they have done something in the past.
What you say is actually very true. And I think you and I risk getting into a chicken and egg situation, whereas we know that there are chickens, there are eggs, and that chicks normally come from eggs, and which one came first? Well, it's moot. The whole idea behind a track record is for, in my mind, among other things, principally just one view. Are you able to do anything that...
At all?
Yes. Well, if you get to very basics, yes. Are you really able to do anything? And the jobs that, all these political jobs that people want, these are jobs where you're supposed to do something. You're not elected to be, you're elected to do. So, if you cannot prove with any certainty that you have been able to do, then why are we having this discussion of the things that you're telling us you now want to do afresh when there is no evidence whatsoever of the things that you have been able to do? And if you have done, that's when I raise the question. Right, good. This was your portfolio. This was the requirement of the job. These were the goals that were set. And it is understood this is what was supposed to be achieved. Did you do it? You see, it's an indicator. It's not a certainty. It's an indicator. Because that's all you can go on. There's an element that I also should have brought in, and I'm going to bring it now. Is it that we are the things we do, or do the things that we do tell our story and says who we are? Which is which? I've raised a philosophical question. Which is which?
What did you say?
Is it that we are the things we do, or the things we do that tell our story of who we are?
Yes. Meaning, if I'm a certain type of person, I'll end up doing certain things.
Well, isn't it that they say that you are some total,
to somebody.
You are a sum total of your experiences. Experiences then can be chalked up to the things that you've done. So then, you are the things that you've done.
So you're the things that you've done. You're the things that you do.
Well, let me complicate it further. Or I am the things that I want. Or that my deeds points to the things that I want.
So you define yourself, you define your path, and you define the character that you are.
Yes. You see, I'm making the philosophical question because when you look at a leader, somebody who has been elected, somebody who has had the position to lead people, all right? You then ask the question, was this person simply a politician or were they a leader? Did they put into place projects, policies that you can look at and say, you know, the lives of people became better as a result of this? Because that's really it. For me, the measure. Did people's lives improve? Was there a measure of improvement in people's lives?
But I don't think that people are getting to that point where they're interrogating it to that extent. That people are asking the questions that, all right, so these promises were made, what happened? Where did they go? At least not onto the level where you need it. Because for somebody to come back, because what is the modus operandi right now of politicians? To come and make promises. Why do they do that? Because clearly there is something that people feed on and they like it. Is it not said that People don't know what they like. They like what they know, right? So this thing that has constantly been presenting itself to me is what I like. So they know very well. I go make up a few promises out there. I'll tell people this is what they like. This is what they like to hear. They voted on this premise before. People have come, made promises. They voted. People have come, said, I will do. They voted. It's very unlikely that somebody has come and said, actually, you know what? I'm just going to look at the lay of the land first. If you elect me, then I will get to work. No.
Oh, come on. Tell me what you like.
Tell me what you want me to do. I'll go and do. No. People don't get voted on that. The one who comes and says, I will do. What? You gave us a litany of the things they said they will do. Is that not what got them into? People voted for them, n'est-ce pas? Yes. So people don't know what they like. People like what they know. This is the thing that they've been used to. That's what they will do. Now, to get to the point where folks are now interrogating, okay, hold on a minute. These things that you've been promising us all this time, did you actually do them in their entirety? So the next person who comes along, the indicators are what we are going to choose and say, hold on, this person is promising us this in their past life. In whatever position in which they were in, are there things that would point to this person actually fulfilling this thing that they're telling us today? Until we get to that point where we're interrogating those indicators, you continue liking the thing you know.
I'm telling you guys, the first thing that people do is interrogate those indicators. When someone is coming to ask for you to elect them as MCA, as MP, there's a basic vetting that happens at the back of somebody's mind. You see those questions that are asked. Has this person ever even been a chairman of a cattle dip? Those are indicators. Is this person even married? Those are indicators. Does this person even drive? Those are indicators. So at the back of the mind, there's something that shows this person has actually been able to do something for themselves, so they can come and do something for me. 9:30. Let's continue this conversation after this break. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
And all we're in a society where men have become very lazy. They have made people's daughters become mamafuas. You know mamafua? Yes. That you come to a man's house, maybe you went out or you've come for a weekend, you find all his shirts in his laundry basket. Yeah. He was waiting for you to
come and
clean them. His wife, including his inner garments.
Right, yeah.
Ladies, stop doing that.
Let me
Those are wifely duties, and even some wives don't
That's
do them.
literally what I was about to say. I was wondering, there's even some wives who refuse to do that.
The only way to live your best life is to create a balance between work, love, and play. The Adults in the Room is the only show on radio dedicated to educating Kenyans on how they can stay winning in life and in love. Text the word adult to 22840 to get the latest clips from Adults in the Room directly to your mobile phone. SMS adults to 22840.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
7 and lows of 14 today. Mostly cloudy conditions at 19 in Nakuru, highs of 25. 24 will be high in Nyeri, where it's 17 and cloudy. And in Eldoret, cloudy conditions at 19, highs of 23 and lows of 14. In Kisumu this morning, it's mostly cloudy, 24, highs of 29. 27 will be the high in a mostly cloudy Kampala. Partly sunny conditions in Mombasa at 28, highs of 30 and lows of 25, while we're looking at lows of 25 in Malindi, where it's mostly sunny, currently at 28. Kampala is mostly cloudy at 23, highs of 26 and lows of 19. While in Dar es Salaam, sunny conditions at 28 with highs of 31 and lows of 23. Warming up in Johannesburg to 17, highs of 26 and lows of 14 today. While in Lagos, it's mostly sunny at 24 with highs of 32. Mostly cloudy conditions at 24 in Kinshasa with highs of 33. Out in Beijing, 21 degrees. 21 will be the high, lows of 9. And looking into Paris, mostly cloudy conditions at 6, highs of 16. London is clear at 9, highs of 15 and lows of 7. And New York early Tuesday morning is clear at 18, highs of 21 and lows of 16.
Spice up your life.
Is it looking a little better? Nope. We're going to be out of traffic hour soon, but there's still a lot of traffic on the streets today. We're looking at it decreasing some on the Thika Superhighway, industrial area, that entire circuit. Lunga Lunga, Likoni, Lusaka, Jogo Road, going in that direction. Very slow today. Uhuru Highway still continues to be packed, as does that stretch of Langata Road. Ngongo looking a little bit better, but then we're seeing a lot of traffic coming off the Thika Superhighway and that Kiambu Road area. My goodness. See what it looks like in a short while, but for now we still have to contend with the traffic that is in Nairobi. Let's talk in a bit, or rather, let's talk through the day. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, text 40127.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
25 to 10, 0719-012-600. The lines are open. Let's have this conversation with you. Spice FM KE, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So all these politicians are coming back to us with campaign promises. Do you believe these campaign promises when they come? Do you believe them? Do they determine whether you're going to vote for one person, one candidate against another, as against voting for another? Or is it something that, it doesn't really matter? What they say is what they say. You've already made up your mind. You're voting for them. So you can come and just sweeten the deal. Say the things that you're going to do. It doesn't really matter. Because you're hearing the campaign promises. We've already been told. In fact, they've even been concretized. There is a bottom-up approach. There's a bottom-down, whatever. All of them as they are being, delivered to the people. Do you believe them? Tutasaidia vijana mashinani, mwananchi mdogo, kabla mugawanye vitu huko juu, saidia mwananchi hapa chini. Then there's somebody else who says, this is what we're going to do. We shall make sure that we streamline our debt management. And this is, our economy shall be debt thin and everything else thick. All these promises that are being made, we shall deliver this and the other. We shall give 6,000 shillings to every vulnerable and poor family in the country every month. We shall give job opportunities for the youth. We shall create 200,000 new houses. All these promises. Do you believe them? Karanja in Naivasha, good morning.
Good morning, Eric Latiff and City.
Good morning.
Now, what we are experiencing is what we call a political harangues.
Harahu?
Because political harangues, H-A-R-A-G-U-E-S.
Okay.
Harangues, political harangues. Where people they give empty promises. Number two, look at the chronology of all these leaders that want to vie for the presidency. If we start by describing them one by one, you see others have been the powerful portfolios in the current government. Others have been the finance minister, others have been the minister for roads, others have been the prime minister, others have been the vice president. So you see, the chronology can tell you itself. Who has given a different thing that he is now going to bring now. I think we should not give them vote. Let us look for somebody who has a philosophical ideology, a new person, and a new breed.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Karanja. 0719-012-600 says, well, yeah, these people have been there, done that, tried it. Let's give somebody else, somebody new. How do we identify that new person then?
Well, new in political circles doesn't mean that this is the first time that you're taking a stab at that particular position. It just means you've never actually been elected.
You've never been given the opportunity.
Yes. So the understanding is this person seems to have made some...
But I think we keep doing that.
Yes, we do.
We do that in every election. We do that.
Yes, we do.
When we are voting out somebody, this is the year when people will tell you the bad thing about the elected leader. And among the things they'll tell you, we've never seen this person here. They never come to the ground. They never interact with us. So they never deliver. This person, what have they built? Look, show me one thing that they've done. Is there any school, any hospital, any road, anything that you can show me that you can associate with this particular leader? Get them out. We're going to bring somebody else. Yeah. And this other person that we're bringing is either somebody who was there before or somebody who, like City is saying, somebody who was tried before but they were not given. So it's a time now to give them that opportunity. Because they had come and promised the same thing that this one has promised. They're also coming to promise the same things. You see, this guy, you give them an opportunity for 5 years. He never built a road. I'm going to build a road. I'm going to build a hospital. I'm going to deliver this and the other. I'm going to make sure that as governor, we are not going to have any section of road that is not tarmacked.
But is it an intent to fulfill those promises, or at that point, is it used as vantage to get them into the position? Is there the intent really to fulfill them? Of course, you can't judge intent. You can't figure out what somebody's intent is unless I think what their mindset really is. Because at that point, do I really want to deliver this to these people?
I think
or
so.
Right now, am I looking for an entry into their conscious?
Both.
Right now, at that point, I'm saying what I want to do is to convince you that I am the person.
Yes.
So I am. This
it's
is
a job interview. When you go to a job interview, remember what we were saying yesterday.
So this is a means to an end.
Yes.
I don't really plan to do these things for you.
No, it's both. If I get the opportunity, I'll do it. It's like we were saying yesterday during job interviews. People go for a job interview. They say everything. I'm willing to work long hours. I'm willing to work on weekends. I'm willing to be reassigned. I'm willing to do this and the other. So can you work without supervision? Of course I can work without supervision. Can you work outside town? Yeah. And then you get into the job. And you're told to start working an extra 2 hours. You start having a conversation. Now, this.
Given my qualifications.
You told me this job is for 8 hours. So we need to have another conversation. You are the one who came and promised. You said yourself, in fact, even without us asking you at the panel, you said, you know what, I'm willing to put my whole sweat, blood, and tears into this. So the question is, that person, that guy and woman who's coming to campaign and promising you all these things, do they intend to do them? It's both.
I'm saying
at the back of their mind, they're thinking, in fact, if you give me this opportunity, I will work so hard for you. But also they are thinking, if I get this opportunity, I'll really have gotten the job that I've been looking for. Then they get in and they become human.
I'm saying that you can't tell whether somebody will actually deliver on the promise that they're making. You won't know. You cannot tell somebody's intent. I can tell you my intent is. How do you know it's actually the thing? You don't know.
Yep.
There is absolutely no way. Savior Jesus Christ himself, there's no way for you to be able to tell that this is the intent and they're going to follow through.
When Eric says that the vetting process actually takes place, not only does it take place, but even the would-be contestants understand that vetting process will take place. And that's why people will weather rain, go for harambes, do all these things. They understand. They understand the indicators that people look for. It's not that they don't understand. It's understood. There must have been some demonstration of you having an interest in community affairs.
Yeah. You supported a women's group somewhere. Where you came as a guest of honor, or just one of the guests through Harambe.
Yes.
3 years ago.
Yes. It's how it's done. The marking scheme is clear. But there's something that we have to discuss. And Eric is the same person who's brought this up on many occasions. Do we vote people in or do we vote people out?
I think you do both.
Which one takes precedence?
Out.
And how does the voter view the electoral process? Is it entertainment? Is it a life and death situation? Do they even actually take it seriously? Apart from those who are involved in the process and who are close to those contestants, because for them, it's a job.
Yeah.
You've been employed to do this, to run around, beat up people, insult people. It's a job, okay? But beyond that, the ordinary mwananchi who is just the observer, what is their interest in politics? Is it entertainment? There's a reason why I ask this. There is remember, today I've been mentioning about the compound words that Germans are fond of. There's one particular word, Schadenfreude. SCHDENFREUDE. Okay? The joy that people have at others' misfortunes. Okay? You know when somebody walks on the street and they slip and feet first and whatever they are carrying in the air and then they land with a thud. The oh sorry comes after you've held your head and laughed your heart's content.
Or you say sorry and then you realize the person has not broken a limb.
Yes, then it's a sense of mirth. In the same way, somebody who's been a leader or an elected leader fails. There are people who are actually delighted that this person is no longer going to be MP. Now, it won't help you beyond that immediate joy that you think you derive from this person not having attained their goal. Bas. Now, you tell me, which one do you think takes precedence? Do people say, no, this person, we must teach them a lesson? This one. Is that the overriding and overwhelming thinking? Or is it, this person is an excellent person whom we must actually vote in?
In the very rare cases where they find an excellent person whom they want to vote in, they will vote in because he's an excellent person. Or in the other case where they want to vote in somebody because of their association with their tribal or national kingpin.
Yes.
So this person is basically brought back in because,
so and so has said he's okay.
I mean,
he has been vetted by so and so.
Yeah. In the other cases, it is who you atajai rudi ground. Amalise aende. That's simple. It is that simple. Amalise aende. We hear it all the time. Now, you're asking the question, and you're even saying it's not possible for someone to tell your intent, and I think that's true. Now, the thing is, how do you ensure that somebody delivers? And I think that's where the lawyers came up with contracts. You get into a contract. You come and tell me, I want to come, I'm a fumigator, I can fumigate you, blah, 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 and it'll kill this, and the other. And I can see your compound is infested with worms and all. I can deal with it. Get into a contract and say, all right, so you shall do this.
You have said, okay, we're going to believe you.
Yep. But commit yourself here, legally. You don't deliver, then I'm not paying. The same thing, maybe we should get into those. And City, you keep bringing this up all the time. Social contracts.
Yes.
You say that you are going to bring stadia. You say you're going to bring this. You say you're going to increase rural electrification. You say blah, 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 blah. So let's just list those things down. Which ones matter to me? These three. Are you going to deliver this? Okay, I'm giving you my vote. These are the ones. Or it doesn't matter who gets elected. Everybody signs a social contract. Should I get elected, this is what I'm going to bring. Then we can use that to vet and say, going forward, we can be looking back at this person promised to deliver laptops. They did not deliver laptops. And it was number one on their priority list. When they're coming to us and they're saying they want to deliver, hard disks or floppy disks or flash drives, they cannot deliver because they were unable to deliver this in the first place. Without a solid explanation.
The question also that must be asked, Eric, do people really want to tip the balance on this relationship where there's a clear understanding that a certain big person, Mkubwa, is never really asked difficult questions?
No, put to task.
Not really. And you dare do that because people say, but why are you asking Mkubwa these things? The subtle understanding here is that if you acquaint yourself adequately to Mkubwa, who knows? Some goodies may come your way. Who knows? They might look at they might look at you favorably, as opposed to if you appear to wrong foot the so-called big person.
Then that's opposition.
That's it. And anything that will be coming to you and your relatives, you can kiss that goodbye.
You're expressing opposition. You're fighting our.
Yes.
Why are you fighting, Mkubwa? You?
Yes. Why? Because we also have we have a national attribute that we need to protect. We have perfected the art of sucking up to political people, political leaders of whatever ilk, of whatever background. So you want to swim against the tide and you want to show that you have an opinion that is contrary to the one that we are all supposed to have. How does that go down? Because if you oppose someone who the leader has already vetted
and endorsed,
you're opposing the leader. That's where the problem comes in.
You're actually fighting the leader.
That's actually a better way. You are fighting the leader.
Yeah. Why are you fighting so and so? Why are you fighting Mheshimiwa? Umetumwa na nani?
That's the other question.
Who are you working for?
Who has given you money?
And this is only because you're demanding what you believe that this person should be doing.
If that's the attitude, then there's a long way to go in politics. There's a very, very long way to go. If there are pockets of individuals who, like these promises, don't rock the cradle, don't ask questions. Because, as you're saying, there's a group of people who don't want these questions to be asked. These social contracts that you're talking about, holding people to account, asking them what it is that they did, or even getting them the promise that they actually should be keeping is that this thing they said they will do, if I don't do it, here it is, that you can either ask me to pay for the time or ask me to relinquish this position. The promise is not kept. There are people, very many of them, who would not want the questions to be asked. So then, I go back to the point. These promises are sweet for very many people. This interrogation that you're asking to happen, it is not going to happen. Because people are also benefiting from these individuals who make this promise. Yes, go ahead and we will vote for you. And influencing other people in the communities to do just the same thing.
So is it
People
entertainment?
like it. They like what they know.
It's entertainment, like City was asking.
People
How do
like
you view
what
politics?
they know.
Come in here and tell us all these sweet
We like
things.
it, yeah. Be smiling and drawing maps with your foot. You like it, right?
Yeah.
You like what you know.
Why do you think there's always such a big hoo-ha, at least in my neck of the woods and the environs, when politicians come for a funeral and they're not allowed to speak? It's an issue.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, this is a funeral.
Come and talk because it will rain. We want it.
Yes.
We want it.
People want, oddly, they really want to hear the politicians.
Yeah, and that's what
And the politician, not just to stand up there and say, you know what, we're here, we are mourning, poleni sana familia.
And then
Sit
say,
down.
no.
Say something else.
Insult a few people.
For sure.
Say something a bit racy and a bit, yes.
Until this taste of promises made and broken, until the taste of, I say I'm going to do something and I don't do it, until the taste of I've been here for 10 years and you can't really see the measure of my work, until that taste becomes so bitter in the mouths of people that we want to spit it out or not deal with it anymore, until that happens, you're going to continue having the situation.
So back and forth.
Yes, now. Yeah. People come and promise you today, they'll promise you heaven and earth, promise you that Australia will become Kenya. They'll tell you, you are just consuming. They'll tell you anything. People like the drama. People like the circus. Until it becomes something that you're so uncomfortable. It is true, CT.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm actually supporting your view.
Until it becomes a situation that people dislike. It is so bitter in the mouth. That is when you find these questions being asked.
You see what I want to say?
That's when you find that the cradle is being rocked. Until then,
it becomes
making their promises.
But Ndu, it's difficult for it to become a bitter taste in your mouth. I'll explain to you why I think so. I am looking at the time of the Moi era when very many people would get allocated government land. At that point in time, whether it was a school, it was a police station, it was an army barracks, they didn't have individual titles. The title deed was just government land. So somebody could actually take a chunk of it. Now, if you try to explain to someone that, something, this is public utility. It is actually meant for the common good. I saw parks, meaning this is a place it's a recreational area that is the middle of town. Somebody wants a piece of it and you're thinking, what is the matter with this person? Or you look at government. In those days, governments had flats, they had houses, and they were created for expansion and space. Somebody goes and looks for a space that was meant for parking, goes and carves it out. A title deed is created. Now,
yeah, they put up kiosks and they say, sasa, tunataka tuweke magari ya wadosi ama tuweke biashara watu wadogo.
Yeah, boss. Now, I'm going somewhere with this, Ndu. You see, part of the reason why you wouldn't find anybody opposing it is because there was the understanding, if I get to know so-and-so, who can talk to so-and-so, I can also get a piece of
have access to.
Because you like what you know.
That's why also you're quiet because
you like what you know. This system of, I'm not going to talk a lot because I can also benefit from it. And it is just you in that myopic little circle. I want to be able to benefit. All these lofty ideas of nationalism and making the country better.
Those are stories. They say politics is local. All politicians have told us this. There's
so
a conversation we once had.
Making, promises what? People like it. Like it very much. Because
conversation we had.
You can get closer.
We had with the Nyeri town MP Njiri Wambogo.
Yes.
Remember? And he told us, you know what? When you're going to the people already know what they want.
Yeah. They do.
They know what they want. And the politician who gets elected is one who comes and repeats what the people want. If you come in with your own issues there at
these newfangled ideas about improvement.
As Nyeri Town MP, I'm going to make sure that we have, I don't know what. Like, this one has dreams. Come and tell people what they want. Be as basic as possible, and you get elected.
But with your understanding, when do you see people getting fed up with all this?
It's not happening now. Who can predict? They like it now.
Because in all honesty, the understanding is that the psychological representation, okay, is something that matters to most of our people more than even this thing we call development. Our person is here. Adequate.
That's enough.
Adequate. It's now we are here.
That is enough. Everything else is...
It's secondary.
Just like we were told by Richard Onyonka the other day. Okay? Representation. If I am an assistant minister in the Foreign Affairs Ministry, and I appear in the news, assistant minister in Foreign Affairs Ministry, and also Kitutu Chacha South MP, that's enough.
Yes. You know what?
People will be saying, kwani ni wapi? Kisi hapo town kwa constituency ya Richard Onyonka.
Yes, meaning, essentially, you've added significance. So,
an identity.
By extension, I come from there. I'm also significant. You know, one of the things that I think is a problem for many people, and that's why you find, for instance, communities where the population is lower keep fighting for these things, it's significance. So long as you're not represented, people feel, we are being considered insignificant.
But also it's because of what you had also said earlier.
Yes.
That representation, it's because it's also expected it's going to bring something, some goodies.
At some point, it's
from
expected.
The top there. There's some goodies that will come. We will see, the president will come and visit us. Just the president coming. And he came to open a classroom there.
Comes with the goodies.
Mheshimiwa brought an MP. This Mheshimiwa of ours, we've never even seen a governor in our village.
Yes.
But this one, he brings the governor, he brings the president. That's enough. That's good enough. We do the issue of vetting promises and even keeping track of promises. We are coming to the end of the second term of Uhuru Kenyatta's presidency. He said the focus in the second term is the Big Four agenda. How many houses were to be built? Over 500,000 houses in 5 years. How many have been built? We know the story. Manufacturing. How many new factories have been started in this country? We know the story. Healthcare, universal health coverage. Where is it? We know the story. The fourth one was what? Food security. How many people are hungry today as we speak?
12
We
counties.
know the story. But is that our focus? No. Our focus is, who is Uhuru going to endorse?
Told you, monarchy.
For 2022.
More promises.
Of course.
For next year.
That person will come with Uhuru's promises.
And you
for
like
the next entertainment.
Beautiful.
Fun. The other person, the deputy to the president, comes around to us and tells us, we got derailed with that Big Four agenda by these other maneno mingi hapa ya mganga na mchawi
and funny
BBI
handshakes.
and handshakes and all of that. In fact, so I am going to deliver this and that. None of those things he's promising is the Big Four. He has his own big one or two.
And he's still the deputy president.
Yes. He's not saying, because the Big Four was derailed, I'm actually going to take it up and make sure housing, universal health coverage.
And by the way, those big Four things
he's
are
coming
important.
up with now, let's do something else completely different. I don't know.
Because this is now what will actually
turn
help.
our economy,
Those are the
the
things
bottom
would
up.
actually help.
That's it. Do we want to vet? No, we don't.
We already know, do we?
We
vetted.
We've already vetted.
And we know.
Yes. What we care about is whether this guy is going to speak this way for us in the next 5 years.
And also,
whether we'll be joking around saying, okay, Mkokoteni person is still with Mkokoteni.
Would you also say, Eric, that actually part of the reason why people love it, as you don't do as vociferously really stated this, that people like it, is because it then gives an opportunity to complain, And you know why complaining is good? It explains why we are where we are.
It's therapeutic, like what Charles Aria was saying.
Yes.
We look for an excuse, someone to blame.
No. If it wasn't for this, I wouldn't be here.
Of course.
I'm here because.
Give us today's proverb as we conclude.
Do not break your cooking pot for a passing guest.
Do not break your cooking pot for a passing guest.
Would we consider that our politicians are passing guests?
And we're breaking the cooking pot every time.
All the time we break the pot. And the problem, we're not even sure you're going to get the next pot.
Now we want them to come with a pot. We break this one, so next time you come, Mheshimiwa si utuachie nyungu, unajua ile nyungu ingine yetu ilivunjika. Join us again tomorrow for more conversations. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Tomorrow will be Wednesday, not Tuesday. People are going back to work today thinking it's Monday. Tomorrow will be Wednesday the 13th. This afternoon, the International Court of Justice will be delivering its verdict on the Kenya-Somalia maritime boundary dispute. Kenya has already said, it doesn't matter what they say. Wacha waongee. Good morning. It's 10 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. Dennis Assetto. According to the World Health Organization, mental health problems affect around 1 in 6 children globally. They include depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder, among others. However, it is quite alarming that 75% of children and young people who experience a mental health problem are not getting the help they need. Jackie Gathu, a child psychologist, says she sees about 110 clients every year, about 100 of whom are teenagers.
It's usually very scary, first of all, for parents to acknowledge that something is not right with a child. For most parents, it's usually easier to ignore or to just hush and act like everything is okay. But you're the caregiver. You've been given this child to protect them with all that you have. So if you notice something is not right, it doesn't hurt to seek help. It doesn't mean that you failed as a parent, and I get this feedback a lot because most parents feel like they have failed their children, they have failed to protect them. No, this is